Of course it still works.
So let me know, because it's from Costco if it doesn't.
Well, how long have I had it? Like 4 years?
It's been a while now. When you're ready for an upgrade, let's upgrade.
No, it's...
Because Jason knows about Costco.
I think that's why Bed Bath & Beyond is in trouble. They're not out of business,
They
right?
stopped doing returns like they used
Oh,
to.
jeez.
People just stopped. I know I stopped shopping there. Their returns are terrible.
There's a lot of redundancies in there. I know I would go from Best Buy into Bed Bath & Beyond and see things for maybe $5 more, and I would think I should have just bought this from Best Buy.
But Best Buy is not too cool on returns, unless you get the warranty. Always get the warranty.
Yes.
But Bed Bath Beyond used to be amazing. They used to have stuff other people didn't have. But their return policy used to. They used to have the 20%.
It's amazing.
20% coupon. They would take it even after expiration.
Wow.
Everybody's phone's on stun.
And then people say they couldn't afford return.
I just think I think they can't compete with eBay or Amazon. I don't think they can.
But still, the way they changed the return policy, that was a big mistake. It messed it up.
It's
That's a few years
tricky.
ago now.
What did they just say? I was listening to NPR. The fact that a lot of people aren't going back into the offices and that companies are saving on the overhead for the renting of the space of the building is hurting all the businesses around because no one's going out to lunch or getting the dry cleaning. I didn't even think of that. I thought, they said journalism is suffering from it because you have a lot of these late 20-something new journalists who usually learn from the 60-plus journalists who've been on the job for a while. And they learn, and they just aren't there. So a lot of these, like, segments are coming out. They suck because they don't have brass tacks. They don't hit the street, or they don't know how to work a source. They're just
Big adjustment time.
Oh, interesting.
I was like, wow. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's the way things are. Not that it's great, but
We're seeing a bounce back. I know everybody did the whole quiet quitting, and now we're seeing companies just, there's a scientist.
lowest unemployment since 1969.
Wow.
Like 3.9%. This was on Spectrum on June 1 today.
I know Google just laid off, 10,000 workers, and they found out they didn't even get an email. They just couldn't log in, and they had to hit through their, they had to contact their leads, but on their personal device, like text. Like, hey, can you get in? And then the lead would say, like, I don't think you're working here anymore. None of your stuff is, I can't even get in.
Some said they didn't find out until watching on the news. Discussing, man.
That is,
We don't have that.
Especially a big company like that that's not going.
that is horrible. You can't let us know a week, a month, 3 months. There's a scientist who was working on some project, a big one, and he starts work at 4 a.m. He went in and he couldn't get in. And he thought something was wrong with his key card. So, and it was too early to call like his supervisors or his, the CEOs. So he waited until his colleague came in who gets in at 5. And his key card worked. So they walked in together, and he said, I'll just let them know I was here on time. You could see me on the cameras. I'm not an hour late. And he couldn't log into anything. And they wound up finding out he got let go. That's why nothing worked. And I think the email that he received was at 9 a.m. saying, sorry, we have to let you go. But he started work at 4. So I thought,
That's one way to do it.
man, that's insane.
That's not humane.
It's almost like the companies are trying to get back at the world for people quiet quitting, and is weird.
Some people are jerks. Some people are cool.
Yeah.
I think it's based on that. Because a good company, you got all that money, you let your people know.
All right, so I'm gonna switch those camera positions
Give you 2 weeks
from here to here.
That was,
But it's not like the company business. It's Google.
you know what movie is, I was watching, I was like, none
You
of
could
this is
zoom in a
accurate
little
anymore.
bit on that one.
What is it?
Last
not
door.
I think
It's
it's
in
the
position
internship,
2.
or it's the movie with
Intern with Robert De Niro?
no. No, I'm sorry. There's a really cheesy one that
Anyway.
came out with Owen Wilson. Wow, him and Vince Vaughn.
There you go.
They're working for Google or something.
That looks good.
Well, was it the internship or no? I'm saying even though that just came out, all of it is wrong now because the tech moves so fast. Like how they, I was watching a little bit of it like maybe 2 weeks ago. I had never seen it. It's one of those movies you don't need. You don't need to see. It's about nothing. It's just not. It's not even really funny. But the things they were talking about, even in the movie, and the movie came out I think 2015, 2016. Is all changed. The things have changed so much that it's archaic now. I was like, damn.
I'll ask you later, but what do you feel about implants? Are you going to get implants with certain things as we
I
get
can't wait. I can't wait. To me, that's how they messed up in Star Wars. Just say Han Solo has an implant, that's how he understands what Chewbacca is saying. The moment they said that he can speak what Wookiee language is, I was like, that it makes no sense.
You get tested out before you put it in your body.
Oh yeah. I'll wait until when I see the billion and millionaires doing it. I can't wait. Oh my God, I can't wait.
You're going to be a millionaire yourself.
I would. My biggest fear is I'll be on my deathbed in my 90s, and my great-grandson rolls in to say his goodbye on a hoverboard that he bought from Walmart for $30. I'm like, son of a bitch!
Back to the future, right? The real
That's
one.
all I want is a hoverboard. And I'm dying. I'll check out. I'll just,
real
you know what? Give me the
hoverboard.
wheel. I'll just burn it up. No one's getting anything.
You know,
I'm
this
just-
company's got to be real. Who knows? You might be able to invest in something.
So where's Sue?
I would love that. Oh,
Where's
man.
Sue?
Sue is at home because her car is no.
There she is.
kind
She's
of
waving
like-
to you.
She's waving right there.
Hi, Sue.
Two thumbs down.
Driving no good. Oh,
Kai,
man.
stop. We can see your hand. Knock it off.
That's her main spot right there, right?
Yeah.
And that's where she's okay.
Yeah, she usually sits there, but we can do this whole. Remember, we've been doing the show remote for almost 2.5 years.
Wow.
And then you
So-
guys used to have something back there. It was deeper. In
Well, we used to, well, there's my booth is back there,
okay.
and that's
Maybe I'm real old school because that wasn't even there.
1 minute to go.
well, there's French doors there. There used to be the drum isolation booth, and so I turned that into my vocal booth, but. We don't. I mean, we used to be in there, and then we used to have it out here, and then George and I just reconfigured how we did the whole thing, and it made it a lot easier.
Cool, yeah. Now you got room for guests. That's really nice.
Yeah. Well, we always had room for a guest. It used to be there would just be 2 people out here, and George would be hiding in
That's what I
there.
remember.
Yeah, but
That's what I remember.
It's the top of the hour.
Okay.
Oh, cool. We're live. Okay, you guys.
Okay. 5 o'clock. Okay. Are we ready?
Yep, I got the thing.
And we need total silence here, guys.
Watch Sue's hand on the tiny little
Okay.
picture there.
5.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, it's time for Voiceover Body Shop. How's everybody doing out there? Hey, we're in studio. We got a big audience. Everybody applaud.
Look at them all.
Yeah. See? An actual audience. This is about as many people as we can fit in here. But our guest tonight is the one and only Jason Linere White. Say hello, Jason.
How's it going?
All right. We're going to talk about all the different things that you do, which is quite a spectrum of things in the entertainment and voiceover on camera and all sorts of stuff. So if you have a question for Jason, put it in the chat room, whether you're in Facebook Live or YouTube Live or however you're watching this. You know, if you're watching it on TV, I'll be really impressed.
Or if it's beaming in from a Chinese weather balloon.
Yeah, from a balloon. Yeah, exactly
weather
right.
balloon.
You know, someone's going to watch this in 2 years and go, what? Anyway, it's time for Voiceover Body Shop right now. It's time for Voiceover Body Shop. Brought to you by VoiceOverEssentials.com, the home of Harlan Hogan's signature products. Source Elements, the makers of Source Connect. VoiceOver Heroes, become a hero to your clients with award-winning voiceover training. VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your voice actor website doesn't have to be a pain in the butt. VoiceOver Extra, your daily resource for voiceover success. And World Voices, the industry association of freelance voice talent. And now, here's your hosts, Dan and George. Hey there, I'm Dan Leonard,
And I'm George Whittam.
and this is VoiceOver,
Body Shop.
or VOBS.
I should have told you guys, that's your part.
Oh, no, what are you going to do?
Now you know later. We'll do it again later.
Anyway, the sound will be perfect tonight. The colors look absolutely magnificent for some reason. It's because all you guys who support us out there and make sure that technologically this thing is just way above everybody else. Of course, we've been doing a webcast for almost 12 years, before people knew what webcasting was.
Sometimes we get it right.
And occasionally, once in a while, it seems to work
Comes
really well.
together.
Anyway, our guest tonight is our good friend Jason Linere White, he's a guy that does just about everything. He's an award-winning actor. We have to ask which awards you've won. Voiceover artist. You do a lot of motion capture stuff and things like that. Let's welcome him to Voiceover Body Shop, Jason Linere White.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys. This is cool. I've been watching the show for years, so to actually be here is as a guest is awesome.
It's fun to have
It's
you here.
amazing. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this nutso business and all the different things that you're doing.
I do love to talk. If you've met me in person or online, you know that is true, very much.
You're a native Angelino, too.
I am born and
Oh,
raised
that's
here.
rare.
From LA. We're a rarity. I thought I was going to be a lawyer at the age of 4 because I knew I liked to yap. So I saw people on TV and movies and television shows thinking that, oh, that person talking in front of everybody, that's what I would like to do.
And then you found out there's other ways to make things up.
I didn't really care about the legal side. I just wanted to talk in front of people. So we fast forward to, I think I was 9 and some change, and I started to get really involved into my not high school, but my elementary school's different projects that they had, plays that we would put on. I got really into, I loved just the thought of, this will be cool. Everyone will watch us. We get to perform. We get to tell the story our way. I thought it was really fascinating. Then about the age, I think I was 10 or 11, and my mom heard on the radio, if your child is outgoing, blah, 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 bring them to Universal Studios, to the Marriott Hotel. There's going to be Beverly Hills Studios is going to have a showcase. In Beverly Hills Studios, for those of you who don't know, it's already been gone. They were basically like, what's the equivalent? Sort of like, I guess, a trade school for actors. You could go there for
guild.
modeling. A
Yeah,
guild, yeah.
Okay.
A specialty kind of foray into the world of the entertainment industry from the actor's perspective. So they taught acting, theater, and modeling. But all your instructors were people you saw on TV and movies every day. So you'd see the guy on Melrose Place in the latest episode, and then the next day he was teaching you. He was teaching you how to book on-camera jobs. And then everybody that was blowing up in commercials at the time in the 90s, those were your instructors. So they would teach you how to book Doritos and Pepsi and all this stuff. So it was great. Went through that, did well, got an agent manager out of that, and started my career in the on-camera world. And for young men at that time, and this still happens, around age 17 to 22, we kind of hit a plateau. There's not too many roles for boys at that age.
Right.
Usually you can play the youngest son or the oldest son or oldest nephew or whatever. There's just not that many roles. So it kind of fizzled out with that. And then growing up, my brother and I, we, like everyone else, you emulate family members, teachers. I used to call my friends' parents or leave voicemails for them as the teachers, changing my voice so that they could skip classes and get out of school, and it would always work. I never thought, I thought voice acting is where actors went to die, because it was it must be so easy. I thought on camera's really tough.
Some of us think that, actually.
When I first started, so I never thought it was, I just thought, I will do that if I want to. If things get really bad in the acting world, then I'll just do voiceover. It's the exact opposite. It's the hardest form of acting I've ever done. Stumbled onto it in 2012, started taking classes and fell in love with it. My brain loves to learn, and I love the fact that there was something I knew nothing about. I think I did my very first voiceover audition on Voice 123 sometime in 2012, and it took me an hour to do a 30-second spot. I would record and listen back, and I was horrendous. I sucked. I probably still suck.
But did you book it?
I didn't. I didn't even know why I sucked. I just had to listen back, and I would do take after take and listen back, and I didn't know where to start. I just knew this is not good.
What's dangerous is if you book on that very first thing, because then you get a big head.
And we know lots of people
I'm a
that's happened to.
natural.
Oh, this is easy.
Yeah.
I think I booked my
dangerous.
third audition, and it was for a college student. I think I made $30 off that, and it was a Bruce Lee sound-alike, something I grew up, I idolized him, grew up watching his stuff. So I don't know if I did it justice, but when I listen back now, it's not as bad as I thought. It's also not as good as I thought it was, George. And I just started dibbling and dabbling and listening to every podcast. I started doing what I call Pac-Manning. I was just ingesting media on everything. Stumbled onto you guys. Started going to conferences, and just fell in love with VO. I fell in love with the fact that there's so many different, I call them guilds, or I feel like having a career as an actor is it's like a video game or a fantasy world where I feel like I'm a lovable bard or a rogue, and I will stumble into a tavern. This might be the audiobook tavern. It's a very cool tavern might not be my type of folks. So I'll continue my journey until I get to the video game or, the video game guild, or I travel over
now
to...
they're called Facebook groups.
Yes. or the Facebook groups.
Right,
yes.
yeah, or LinkedIn groups.
Or LinkedIn groups.
Or workout groups.
A funny story, I recently took my girlfriend on New Year's Eve. There's a Blockbuster bar in West Hollywood where it looks like a Blockbuster on the inside and outside. And we went there for New Year's Eve. And one of the commercials I was in the 90s was playing on the TVs that they had there. And I was at the bar, and there's a random guy next to me I don't know, another random guy to the right of me I don't know, and the bartender. And I shouted, "Oh my God, that's me!" And all three of them equally could not care less. I was talking to strangers. Look at,
Hey, you're in Hollywood. That's the way it is here.
my girlfriend was talking to a random couple, and I started like elating because I forgot all about that commercial. But on camera was how I started my journey.
Yeah, but you're doing all sorts of stuff, though. I mean, you're done the on camera, you're doing the voiceover work, and you're kicking butt with that. You're also doing mocap. I mean, how is it that you do all these things? I mean, did you have a plan to do all of these different genres? And
So that's a great question. I just recently, as in last week, found the term, and I've, of course, already forgotten it. I was watching a YouTube video, but there's a gene that some humans have when they're born. It gets activated. Everyone has this gene within their lineage, within their DNA, but it's what did the young lady say on the video? I'll just call it the hustle gene. But it's the non-failure gene. You see something and you think, it can't be that hard. I'll just go ahead and do it. And I'll fail forward, and what I need to learn, I'll learn on my way to doing the thing, or I'll find other people who have done it. I'll ask them questions, and if they're not into that, I'll find books that people who've done it written, or
That's
vice
just
versa.
adjacent to the lemming gene.
Yes. I'll just follow this person blindly. And I've always thought, what's the worst that could happen? The worst thing that could happen is that I fail at something, but we all fail at tying our shoes when you're really young. We all fail at certain parts of math. We all
Getting
fail
really
at
comfortable
writing.
with failing,
Everything, right?
Yeah.
nothing
Failure is
ventured,
the-
nothing gained.
Yeah.
Failure is the tuition of success. So whatever gene that is, I possess that. And even to this day, it's not delusions of grandeur, but it's along the lines, my brain literally thinks, well, that person's human. If they can do it, somehow I can do it. Maybe not in the exact same way, but I have to figure out how they did it. Oh, their dad is the director. That's how they got in. Well, I don't have anyone in my family that's a part of that industry and that entertainment or in that field, but I wonder if I can get in this way. I'm going to date myself, but if you remember the very opening scene of Look Who's Talking, there's the one egg and the millions of sperm are trying to get into that one egg. That's the on-camera world. There's one job and we're all, using swords and blasters and lightsabers, fighting to get that one job. And it was explained to me in voiceover, there's more work than there are people that are qualified to do it. So there's more jobs than there are actors that can actually do the jobs. And just that, when I learned that, it just took all this weight and this anxiety off me. And now, if there's an opportunity and I feel like I can do it justice, then I'll put my name in the hat and I'll wait until I'm called. And if it's something that I honestly feel that I can't do well 100%, if it's going to be impeding the project, I'll step back and shoot it over to another colleague. But that's been my bread and butter for life. I just I go, well, let's try it. I roll my sleeves up and go, let's try our best and see how we can make this a part of our career, a part of our life, a new hobby, a new skill in some type of way.
Yeah. If you're just joining us, you've missed a lot already. Our guest is Jason Linere White, and we're having essentially a metaphor festival.
Yes. I speak in metaphors and
So do I.
a
Well,
lot.
that's why we relate so well. If you've got a question for Jason about all of these different genres that he works, type it in the chat room, whether you're in Facebook or you're on YouTube Live. And Jeff Holman, who sits just to the left of me, will be taking down all these questions, and we'll be able to ask those in just a little bit. So get in there, ask your questions, because we want to hear from you. That's what this show is all about. So, you talk about, I'm going to do this. How did you physically implement each one of these genres and get into them and find success in all of them?
With on camera, being an 80s kid, But that's all we did was grow up, watching television from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep.
Yeah.
And so
it was like that in the 60s, too.
yes. So I always had these emulations that I would just gravitate or anchor to. I would hear the director say something in director language, and I would translate it to, oh, this is just like that scene in that show that I love with this and that, or this is just like that episode of Knight Rider when Michael Knight does that and David Hasselhoff acts. Okay, I'll do that, but my version of it. So I had all these anchors to kind of factor towards. With VO, I was impressed and blown away with how much information is out there. And even more so now, there's podcasts, there's books, I mean, you name it. And there's some redundancies, but everyone, I look at it as kung fu schools. Everyone has something cool to teach you at each school. You might learn kicks at this one school, or punches or throws at these different schools. So, and everyone's style may or may not mesh with your own. And to me, it's fun to learn what this teacher or this coach is saying, and going to workout groups, and everyone is training at different places, and you get to hear everyone's different experiences and take some things, and you just steal and take and make it work for you. With mocap, I had a gigantic, I'm a very humble person, but with mocap, I had a gigantic chip on my shoulder. I thought, oh, I'm a career martial artist, I'm a breakdancer, I do this and now, I'll walk in, I'll kill it, I'll learn what I need to learn, I'll walk out. The first hour, I felt smaller than Ant-Man. I didn't know anything. I didn't know any of the terminology, the jargon, I mean, you name it.
How did you get into there in the first place?
I saw randomly on Facebook, a bunch of my colleagues were doing a ton of mocap. They were taking training and classes. I didn't even know it existed. I thought you had to be a special person. When, like most people, when you're small and you watch someone on TV, you think, I would love to do that, but that person's special. They're not like me. I'm sure their dad was Zeus and their mom is Hera. That's why they're on TV. They're a god, right?
That would explain a lot.
They have powers. That's why they're doing what they're doing. So until I saw that, did I know it was accessible. I signed up for the class, introductory class, with Richard Dorton. He's one of my mentors for motion capture. He's been doing mocap for going on 25 years. He was the first guy in LA to do mocap and create a career. So I've seen him, been him, killed him, saved him, you name it, all through video games. So when I met him, I fangirl, it's like meeting the Beatles at that time. Like, Ringo! No one cheers, no one screams for Ringo. But upon learning and spending time in that class for the first hour, I got humbled and realized I know nothing about this world. It has nothing to do with the movement at all. It has to do with character breakdown and why are you moving? Why are you doing this movement? The movement's not important. Why are you doing this movement? Once I learned it from that aspect, again, my brain loves to learn. I just dove headfirst into everything I could ingest about motion capture.
Yeah, it's acting. I mean, but you're acting in this void.
Yes.
Is that kind of weird?
Yes, it is. With theater, you have to project and you have to always face forward because the audience is looking at you and you pretend they're not there. Unless in certain projects or, shows where you talk to the audience. I call that Zach Morrising. Zach, wait, what was that his name? Zach Morris? From
Efron?
No. Zach, Saved by the Bell. Zach Morris, Morris is his last name?
Zac Efron.
Zac Efron. George's all
Okay.
Is that breaking the
Someone will,
No,
someone will
there
find
is
out.
no wall
Preppy.
here.
But anyway, Zach and Saved by the Bell would stop, or better yet, Deadpool. Deadpool always stops and talks to the audience, right?
Or an aside.
And then on camera, you have billions of people around. You have to pretend they're not there. Mocap is a mix of motion capture is a mixture of both. You have people touching you and pulling you places. You have people throwing things at you, walking around. You have to pretend they're not there. There's a virtual camera guy who is this close to your face. You will have an intimate scene with your partner, and you two are supposed to hug and kiss and embrace, but they have a head cam on, and so do you, and you can't get this close. And there's 5 different people telling you better not bump that head cam. There's a sound guy, there's a video guy, there's a head cam guy, there's a mic guy, and everyone is like, you better not bump those head cams, but you're supposed to embrace. And so it's very challenging.
Do you ever see what you're doing?
Zach Morris, that's
Morris?
right.
Do you ever see what you're doing on a monitor somewhere, or would that be
Yes.
totally distracting and mess you up?
To some performers it is, because many times you get to see yourself in real time as the character that you're portraying. So I'm 5'10", but you can be a giant who's 12'9", standing around,
because
walking around.
Systems are so powerful now. They can render your character real
amazing.
time. You're controlling a giant puppet.
To me,
You're
it's
basically a
helpful to
huge
see the
puppeteer.
scale because it helps you move as that character better instead of seeing it on a 2D piece
Sure.
of paper and then trying to bring it to life.
Yeah.
To get back to your question, you have to have extremely strong imagination muscles because nothing is there. Most people fail at the improv game of making a cup of tea. The minute they pour the tea, the kettle evaporates. They always pour the tea, and right before they take a sip, the kettle just disappears. They always forget to put it down. It's those little things that will stop you from, or that is those little things that will keep you doing take after take after take after take.
Right.
Is remembering those things. You know, I put this thing down here. Crap, did I put it on this side or that side? You have to remember. So it's just repetition, mileage, like with everything.
And you're wearing a green suit and ping pong balls.
Yes, you have a Lycra suit on, and with all the balls on it, all the trackers, sometimes trackers or markers on your face, and sometimes a head cam and markers. Everything. You can use props, weapons, but it's so freeing. You get to go back to being 3-4 years old where your imagination is key. And the more vivid you can create that world, the more fun you have as a performer. And something I feel that doesn't get out there enough about motion capture is that it's very collaborative. The directors, they talk about Nolan North on the set of, I think it's The Dark Knight. Was that the one with Heath Ledger? The Joker one? Is that I think it's The Dark Knight, where they would ask Nolan, hey, we've been in this room for a while. How long have we been in here? And he'll say, he's the director, and he'll say, I hadn't thought about that. How long do you guys think you've been in here? So they say the movie was very collaborative like that. Motion captures like that. The director will give you your lines and how you're supposed to move and interact with certain things, but they're looking for your input as well. And they're looking for you to bring that character to life. And I love that. I love the fact that with on camera, many times it is just stand here, say this person walks here, and then you guys say this, and then you leave. Do it the way I asked you to do it. With mocap, it's very collaborative.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
cool.
okay, so you're doing on camera, you're doing voiceover, you're doing mocap. Anything else that we should know about?
I direct and I
Okay.
help cast from time to time, different projects. Yes, lots of mocap directing within like the last two years.
Yeah.
Right when COVID hit, I own Dropship Studios LA. We do what large studios do on a smaller scale. Basically, independent video game programmers and developers will think, we would love mocap in our game, but we can't afford what Activision and Electronic Arts can afford. So I guess we just can't do it. But they'll find companies like mine, or we reach out to them and say, well, how much is your budget? Here's a plan that fits that budget. It might only just be face cap that you can afford. It might just be motion capture. It might be performance capture, which is face, sound, likeness, your entire body, fingers, and everything. And it's become extremely affordable now to add motion capture to almost anything. That random iPhone does facial capture so well that you can just pop that right into a movie, video games, VR experiences, you name it. If you know how to do it right, it's nuts.
Whoa.
Once again, we are talking with Jason Linere White, who does everything. He probably even paints his own room, that sort of thing.
With the window closed and then passes out.
Yeah, you got to tape it just right. Yeah. If you've got a question for him, again, throw it in our chat room right now in Facebook Live or in YouTube Live. And of course, if you know who's going to be on, you can always write a question to us much earlier on. But you didn't have the chance to do that yet if you didn't do it.
It's a life hack.
I know.
I like that, Dan.
Yeah. So how do you keep all of these different things that you're doing straight? I take it you're a very well organized person.
No.
But
Not even
all right.
close.
So explain how you do that.
Okay, what I love this question because it works for life. It helps you if you find out if you're a ninja or a pirate. Are you a morning person or a night person? For me, I'm a morning person. I love getting up early and I feel like I'm ready to start the day, and I try to focus on what I need to do in what order. But I don't actually have a schedule that I link my time to. I know that there's certain things I need to do, and this is going to sound weird, but as being an actor and being a Pisces are like ping pong or like pinballs.
Pinball. Yeah.
We're over everywhere, right? But we're very creative. When the moment strikes me, that's when I do it. So for instance, if I know I have voiceover auditions to do, instead of doing them in the order that they came in, however I'm feeling that day is how I tackle those auditions. I say, I don't feel really, I'm not 100% up, so I'll go ahead and do this Bank of America spot, or I'll try this, or I'm feeling good this morning. I got up, walked the dog, I'm feeling great. Time to do some video game stuff. I'm very in tune with how I feel, my emotions, and where my body is. And instead of trying to dictate what I need to do, I just kind of let the day happen on its own. And I use Siri like there is no tomorrow. I use Siri, Alexa, and Google. Always use those digital assistants. A really good life hack, I've been doing this for years, is to get better at your reads on your own. Highlight the text and then have Siri, if you have an iPhone, if not, if you have an Android, it's Bixby. Have Siri read the script to you. You can start directing her. She's going to say everything wrong. She's going to drop words. She's going to pause where she's not supposed to pause. But you're using her to teach you how not to say it. So you let her speak out everything, and then you direct her and say, oh, you dropped this, you didn't this, you railroaded the ellipses. But when you record your first take, you remember all that, and you kill it on the first take all the time. And you just do that
That's
with
a good
every
hack,
single
man.
one.
I've never heard anybody say that before.
It is so much fun. And you put her to work. She's just in there in your phone hanging out, right? Give her something to do. She's just sitting there knitting or doing whatever she does when she's waiting for us to give her commands. Be nice about it. Yes, she's a digital person. Be nice. If your Siri is a female, she could be a non-binary digital assistant or a male assistant, however you prefer. Mine is the average voice comes with it, but I put her to work. And then I have her and Alexa remind me. And sometimes they fight. Sometimes Siri will say, Jason, you have this at 3 o'clock. And Alexa will say, shut up. He has this at 3 o'clock. No, I'm just kidding. I wish. I'll turn you off. Well, I'll turn the TV on. You don't have access to the TV. What's going on in the house, man? No, I get terrified. But I tend to stay organized by not giving myself finites. I know something needs to be due before 8 a.m., so as long as I get it in before 8, I kind of let the day, I kind of go with the ebbs and flows. And I tend to, that works for me.
Okay. So you don't have like a big whiteboard or anything like that to keep you organized?
I have two.
Oh,
and they're
okay.
both blank. There's doodles on them, and they're both they're both blank. I do use the calendar. Yes, I use the calendar that comes installed in Mac with that. And that's been very, very helpful with the reminders and whatnot. But I tend to kind of just flow and do the thing.
So how old are you now?
This month on the 21st, I will be 42. And I want to tell the audience, I know everyone's going through a tough time financially.
No way.
So I've spoken with my family, and this year only I will be accepting gifts that can start at $300 and go up from there. So if you would like to give me a gift, they need to start at $299 and up. So usually it's $500 or more. So this year it's okay.
They got to do a group buy first and then send you the whole thing.
Yes.
I only ask because, if you can keep all this stuff in your head in the next 5 years,
Good luck.
forget it. It's not going to happen.
Good luck.
Absolutely. Once again, we're talking with Jason Linere White, and we're talking about all the things that he does in the voiceover world, in mocap, and on camera. And again, if you got a question for him based on all this stuff that we've been talking about, throw it in the chat room right now. So I've been noticing that you had a group called VOXernauts.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I assume that is still sort of there, but that's sort of morphed into this company you've
Yes,
got?
into Dropship Studios LA. VOXernauts is all about, Vox meaning voice, is all about getting some of the best training at affordable actor prices. I was doing a lot of ADR and looping training. $50 per person. I think we're maxed out at 12 people, and this was in person. I think we started in 2017 and went up to about 2020 or so, right before COVID happened. And you would come from 7 to 10, and I had a bunch of scenarios, and it was a day in the life of doing ADR and looping. A quick, small rendition of that. What ADR is 3 or 4. I'm not telling you guys. You guys know. You guys wrote the book on it. Audio dialogue replacement, or there's like 3 other.
Automated dialogue replacement.
Yes.
Automatic dialogue replacement.
It's all the background voices. You watch Friends at home, and you notice that only Rachel and Ross are talking, right? In the coffee shop, you can't hear anyone else. Those actors are being quiet. And later on, when the episode is edited down, it goes to actors such as myself and 9 other of us, and we start to put in things that we would think the background actors would say. It's very lucrative. Back in the day, this was looked down upon because it was along the lines of being an extra, but vocally. Oh my God. But once it got out that you get residuals on these, just imagine
Residuals.
if you were looping or doing ADR for the Saved by the
Yes.
Bell franchise, right? Those get syndicated and you are just still making money. Residual checks are coming, even though the show's been off air for 20 years, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's very lucrative. And this happens with movies, television shows, you name it. So I do a lot of that. It's basically like an actor's 9 to 5. And if you're an amazing improver, it doesn't mean you're good at looping. If you're extremely good on camera, it doesn't mean you're good at looping and vice versa. So it's a very finite, small niche to get in there. But it has become so lucrative. I love it. It's amazing. You work those muscles every day, which is the improv muscles, one of the foundations of acting. And so many different projects, you get to meet different people and understand their experiences and whatnot. And I forgot what the question was.
Well, it's like, the question was how do you keep it all straight?
There we go, yes.
And also that you're teaching a lot of these things, and that
Yes.
you've got the meetup group, or do people meet up, or
Now we do it online. We're
Yeah.
going to be starting this month of going back to ADR and looping because most of it is now you can do it online. So overnight, we talk about the structuring of COVID. 90%, 95% of the time when you did loop, you would have to go into the physical studios. Well, literally overnight, that stopped. So now I'm looping with people from New York, people in Spain, you name it. And we're all working on the same project. And everyone's in their booth, their closet, you name it. And when you watch it on the television or you see it on your phone or movies, you can't tell. The way they've been mixing them down now, you cannot tell.
yeah,
The show Lovecraft Country
Yeah.
didn't get a second season, but we did 4 episodes in person, and the rest of the 6 we did all individually at home.
Right.
And I think it's Tim. I can't remember his last name at the moment. He's an amazing sound director. He won an Emmy for that show.
yeah.
And when you listen to it, you cannot tell that it's
people are all in different
not at all.
locations.
And it is mixed so well.
Yeah.
When I watched it myself, I thought, man, this is good. And I would hear myself and my colleagues and think, I remember when I literally watched on Zoom when she said this or did this speech and it didn't sound like this. It's insane. And they were having a week to get this stuff up, less than a week.
Yeah.
We'd work on a Monday, and that episode would be up by the following Monday. So that means they worked on it that entire week and just boom. So it's insane on where we are. But that training is still offered. And we do ADR, we do mocap training. That's more in-person stuff. But yeah.
All right.
That's the VOXernauts in a nutshell.
All right. Hey, if you got a question, we still have room for a few more, so get them in there in the chat room. We're talking with Jason Linere White, and we'll be right back here on VoiceOver Body Shop right after this.
Yeah.
This is Bill Ratner, and you're enjoying VoiceOver Body Shop with Dan Leonard and George Whittam. VOBS.TV.
I have your PayPal. I'll pay you for saying thank you.
I wasn't so far away. I'd have been there at all of them.
There's no pay.
From VoiceOverEssentials.com, it's the relationship savior, the multicolor LED VO recording sign. Not just a stock on-the-air or recording sign, it's our exclusive voiceover recording sign. This brilliantly lit LED 20-color beacon tells everybody at home, which is currently everybody, hey, I'm auditioning, recording, podcasting, narrating, or broadcasting here, and a few moments of relative quiet would be very much appreciated. What's more, the wafer-thin remote control lets you choose a multitude of options, from color to brightness, flashing to fade in and out. You can even set up your own personal codes. Red means I'm recording. Blue, playing back. Green, it's a wrap. The voiceover recording sign, get not one but 2 remotes, is about to end. 2 remotes makes the sign even more valuable, since your significant others can send you messages as well. Or, of course, you have a backup if the dog decides to bury this cool thing in the backyard. Order yours now for just $69.95 from VoiceOverEssentials.com.
It's yours, okay? Calm down.
Now we're going to do an in-studio commercial for Source Elements, the creators of Source Connect. They have so many amazing tools that are used in studio production remotely around the world every single day. But the one that the voice actors really need to know about is Source Connect. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it. You can go to source-elements.com and get a demo and start familiarizing yourself with the technology. It basically is super, super high quality audio Zoom. No video, audio only. Now it has a video component. You can actually have a video on your computer that plays back whenever you're doing your take. But that's not used that often in voiceover. The distraction of video isn't necessary for most everything out there. It's just you talking, you're listening to the director. You might have the client patched in from the studio on the other end so you can hear them asking questions. But other than that, it feels like you're working in a studio. It's just you're in your own booth and they're somewhere else. And that's Source Connect. And if you, again, get signed up, head over to source-elements.com, get a 15-day free trial and get familiarized. If you need any help, we can help you at georgethe.tech, but they also have an incredible amount of resources to get you up to speed. Thanks so much, Source Elements, and let's get back to it. There's so many more questions for Jason.
Hey there, I'm David H. Lawrence, the 17th, and with my company VO Heroes and my team of coaches and my community of voiceover talent, we guide voiceover actors along their journey. And you may be watching VOBS here and not nearly as far along as many of the other people who are watching. You may not even have started yet. And we actually specialize in helping you do just that. So if you're watching all the stuff going on here on VOBS and going, I have no idea what they're talking about, I don't know, but I really want to do this, I'd really like to help you. Please go to voheroes.com/start. That's voheroes.com/start. And you can take our Getting Started in Voiceover class, which tells you everything you need to get started as a voice talent. And I'd love to hold your hand along the way and help you with that journey. Again, voheroes.com/start. That's voheroes.com/start.
This is Bill Ratner, and you're enjoying VoiceOver Body Shop with Dan Leonard and George Whittam. VOBS.TV.
We are back here at VoiceOver Body Shop. Our guest is Jason Linere White, who's been telling us about his amazing career, and you're just still a kid. So we got a lot of stuff coming up for him, which is going to be really cool. We've got a lot of questions, right? Right, Jeff?
That's right.
Okay, we got lots of questions for you. George, take the first one from Wishbone.
Yes, Wishbone from the YouTubes. Jason, what's your favorite, most recent role or really experience with voice acting, and why?
There was a big game that I was up for, and I did an audition. It came from my agents, and I got a call back. The call back was in my booth. I did it in my booth. It zoomed in with everyone. I got the role and just found out last week the game is canceled. It's one of the best franchises and video games that I love, but it happens. But it goes to show that you never know. It's out of our hands, you know? So I was bummed for I do the 5-minute rule. I was bummed. I allowed myself to be bummed for 5 minutes. And then I thought, well, hey, if I did it once, hopefully I can do it again. I will do it again. And I did a great job on that audition. I felt I was the character. I prepared for it. I was very proud of myself that the curveballs they threw at me, I was still able to hit. Not everything was a home run, but I was very proud of myself of how prepared I was. Yeah. And I would have to say it was that. So it would have been nice.
Yeah. And of course, when you're auditioning and you do that stuff and you know you did it well, they remember. You may not be right for that particular part.
Yes.
But they'll go, oh, wait, we're doing this one. That Jason Linere White was really good when he did that. So.
And that happens a lot. That happens frequently, which I'm grateful for. Oh, we all are. Definitely.
All right. We got a question from Grace Newton. Until I can fund coaching, what can I be doing daily to prepare for voice acting in video games?
Got you. This is for everybody of every genre. If you want to learn, no matter what you want to learn, exhaust your free resources all the time. Podcasts. You're going to get bored. You're going to get tired. It's going to get frustrating because not all the information out there is easily ingestible. Sometimes people have great info and they don't know how to relay it, and vice versa. But go through YouTube, go through podcasts. Every time you drive or you walk somewhere, you should have your earbuds, headphones in, and you should be listening to a podcast of someone talking about whatever that is. You will be surprised on how many tidbits that you wind up picking up. As long as you learn at least one thing, it doesn't matter how much of the information you already know, you've already attained. Even if there's one thing that's new or a different spin on it, that might be what you need for it to click. Exhaust those resources. Watch video game trailers. Watch the trailers and watch the cutscenes. Cutscenes are the miniature movies in the video games themselves. You don't have to be a gamer to be in video games, but you have to know the genre. If someone says, okay, I need you to say this line as if you're yelling to the Master Chief and the Covenant are behind you shooting and blasting the ship up, the Pelican up, you need to know what all those words mean. I need to know what the hell a Master Chief is. I need to know what a Pelican is, and I need to know what the Covenant is. If you don't know what any of those are, there's a good way of starting. Let's go and research Halo. What's the story of Halo? Leave it on in the background. YouTube will just do its thing while you cook dinner and whatever it is that you do laundry, and you learn and soak it up. Our brains are wired to fluctuate between our senses when we're already doing something. That's why if you're vacuuming or doing dishes, or if you're doing laundry, but you have something on in the background, your body is physically involved in a task, which means that it's going to allocate more energy to your ears. So it means you can actually do a deeper thinking when your body is physically doing something. If you're vacuuming, if you're doing the dishes, drying the dishes, taking them out of the dishwasher, or doing them, or whatever.
Doing something something repetitive, something repetitive.
Yes,
something
definitely.
You've done 1,000
Clean the
times.
fish tank or Swiffering or something. If your body has a task to do, the brain can kind of allocate more information to your other tasks. You can taste food better. You can retain knowledge better from what you hear. Your ears perk up better. It just, whatever's monotonous, try to do these things. Try to leave a podcast or a YouTube video playing on in the background. And then project. One of the easiest ways to get in games is to do what we call battle chatter. I'm not going to do one now, but imagine when you say something, the words coming out of your mouth are flying in front of you. They're coming out so fast. They're like bullets going through a wall. Phew. So a yell or a scream would be, oh my God, he's gonna kill us. Battle chatter is a projected yell. It's swapping mags, reloading, watch the flank. It's very short and sweet and compact. Go from your diaphragm and don't use your throat. Push from the tummy. If you scream and turn to your left or right and you feel any discomfort or pain, you're screaming from the wrong area. You want to scream from your chest or your tummy. If you can get battle chatter down well and do those in auditions, that's like your background work for video games. They'll call you, and we call it killing. They'll call you and they'll kill you, which just means you get worked to exhaustion to do battle chatter. And you will be that guy or that woman or that person who's just yelling, reloading, this and that. I did a firefighter video game where it was 10 hours. It was broken up into 3 sessions, 2 4-hour sessions and one 1-hour session. And it was,
The roof is collapsing. You get stuff like that.
it was, we can't get in. We got in. We're in. I mean, it was just page after page of, I need the fire axe. I need the fire hose. And each one has to be short, sweet, and said as if you're really in front of a blazing fire trying to save someone. And even if you do it at a 9, they'll tell you that was great. We need a 10. Push it up even more. So that's kind of how you get your foot into games.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. A follow up to that, and I'm sure nobody's asked it yet, but I'll ask it.
Sure.
Because you were mentioning before that people are doing it from all over the place, but does it help to be here in Southern California to be doing that type of work? You know, whether it's video games or mocap or stuff like that.
I love this question because it's never the answer people think it's going to be.
That's why I
what
asked
it is.
it.
So you should have a foothold in any genre and in any location you want to work in. It doesn't mean you have to live there. You should know people and have friends. Start with the Facebook group, start with Instagram, start with knowing that community. If you can afford to travel to those areas and go to a conference or something like that, do that. You should have a foothold to where at least, let's say out of 400 people, 5 to 10 people know vaguely of you. Oh, that's the Jason guy. He doesn't live here in Amsterdam, but we've met him a couple of years ago. Yes, shoot him an audition. Or yeah. He might have to record in LA, but we know of him. That's all you need. It's just a foothold. It's just like when you used to crash on your cousin's couch. At any point in time, we used to crash on your cousin's couch. That's what you do. Go to those conferences. Go to those, even the Zoom meetups. Start doing that. There are so many free resources of how you can get notoriety and get your name out there and solidified and linked up with something that you want to do. When I think of John Smith, I immediately think of random default person or name. That's what you want to do with your name. It, of course, helps to live in Texas if you want to buy and own your own ranch and have tons of horses out there. But if you don't, you can always fly out to Texas or at least start learning, what are some of the adjacent areas that feed into Texas? What are some of the companies that feed into owning a ranch? Oh, there's a feed store that's right here in my neighborhood. I can build a relationship with that feed store, and inadvertently somehow it'll help me get my foothold into Texas so I can build my ranch. Same thing for video games. I need to get a foothold in Los Angeles somehow, and it doesn't have to be games. As actors, we should be quantifying. I may meet somebody in the mocap world, on camera, theater that helps me get a voiceover video game job, right? So we never arise at our destination the way we think we're going to. It's always different. Many times it's cooler. Many times we think, I'll just drive up and show up where, however you get that project or that job, you might show up like the Rocketeer or with the jetpack or Iron Man. So always be open to figuring out on different avenues to the end goal, for sure. You don't have to live in the area.
Yeah. So Catherine J. Of course, I gave the lead into this question, but she's like, what is the most difficult part about doing video games?
I would say, to be honest, it's synonymous. It's exactly the hardest part of any VO job, any acting job. It's the director. Many times you walk in and they don't tell you much, and you have to have your imagination already at 100%. You have to fill in the blanks. Sometimes, and this just isn't within the game world, many times the director is really tired. There may be 4 people online via Zoom, and the writer could be there, as well as the director is with you there physically, and everybody needs something different. And you as an actor, you may do take after take after take, and the very first or second take may be exactly what they needed or wanted, but for whatever reason, everyone wants a salad bar. They want a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You have to be able to just keep that ego down and say, I am a part of the puzzle. I am not the overall piece. Let's just go. You have to keep your stamina up. I think for me, that was a tough one. Was I would burn out sometimes at 3 hours because we would do a lot of shouting or different things, or I'm a very active person. If I'm running in the game, then I try to run in the actual booth to get the sound coming out. And when you're doing that multiple times, you do get tired. And sometimes there's too many cooks in the kitchen and stuff is coming out and nothing tastes good. And you just have to sit there and say, it's my job to just be the sous chef. Here are the ingredients. I'll make this same dish 50 times. Here it is. It's slightly different each time. I would say that's the toughest part, is understanding that humans are still at the helm, and we have to figure out on how we navigate each person's different personality, because they're going to tell you yay or nay to go to the next line or when you're ultimately done.
It's like a paramilitary.
Jeff Holman gets the next question. It's an interesting one. Yeah. George, go ahead.
Well, I
you
guess
can
I
ask.
can read it. I mean, Jeff, you want
Maybe I
to
should
read
read
it?
it.
You're
All
so
right,
close.
here.
Please.
Point the mic at the man.
Here, let me just
got that
loosen this up. Okay, go for it.
Have you ever done mocap remotely in your own studio, like in front of your own green screen, connected to a studio or something like that?
Yes, and believe it or not, the only technical issues you run into is not having enough cameras. If you have at least 2, so that they can see a wide shot and then a closer one from about waist up. Believe it or not, clients you see them do this when the session starts, and then the moment they see you move and they see your skeleton move or interpretation of you in the mocap suit digitally, they go, oh, okay, now we get it. That's exactly how people are going to feel about the metaverse. Right now, it sounds stupid, but when you put a headset on and you go to a digital Nike store, you pick up some shoes that aren't really there, and you look down and see those shoes on your actual foot and your cartoon-style foot, and you can move your leg and look around and still purchase those shoes, and in 2 days they show up, then everybody will be okay with the metaverse. That's where we're at. And how we do remote sessions is just like that. There's always at least one on the staff of clients that has a pushback of, hey, we should physically be there. But how? You're in Amsterdam, you're in Turkey, you're in England, you're over in, another part. And everyone wants to be on at the same time with, you're in Denmark with all the different time constraints. But let's just see how this works on the first one. And they're always blown away. And it's usually latency is the only issue. Sometimes, Zoom has to keep up. But other than that, you'll be surprised. They finished the Call of Duty of 2020 that way. They called all the mocap people in, the performers in, started in 2019. COVID happened, and then they shipped the X-Sins suits out, which are mocap suits. You put the suit on, zip it up, take a couple of minutes and fire it up, and you see in real time your movements into the the computer and the software. And they remotely just directed each actor, each performer in their own homes. So you just push the things out of the garage or out of the way in the family room, and you see kids walking in the background, and dad is just reloading an imaginary gun, using a broomstick or whatever. And by the time the developers who had their work cut out for them, you play the game, you cannot tell. You cannot tell 75% of the motion movements of that game were done at home by performers in X-In suits. It's very cool.
Yeah, but you got to be good at it. Of course, we don't need anything like that here because we have this wonderful set behind us. That's,
It's amazing.
yeah.
The caviar was a little warm when I came in, but it's fine.
Yeah, we're trying to improve the craft service here a little bit. Kana Ali asks, Jason, how does someone get in touch with you directly?
Oh, call 1-900. No, it's 75 cents per minute. Now, you can go on the website and just type my name in, jasonlinerewhite.com or actor jasonlinerewhite.com or .actor or something, I don't know. And my website will pop up.
One of those will show up, yeah.
Or you can, if you're on Facebook, you can contact me there through Messenger. If you're on Instagram, you can contact me on there. Just type in my full name, I pop up. I am not on social media too often these days, so if you send me a message and I don't respond promptly would be 3 days, shoot a little emoji finger like this pointing up. Bing! That way I'll get the message. And I have messages in Instagram 8 months old just because I don't see them. So I'm just not on social media too much these days.
Too many platforms to keep track of.
There's a lot.
Yeah. Question. We've got about 5 minutes left. Question from Terry Briscoe.
Okay.
George.
I've taken part in some of your warm-ups to get ready for video game acting, and it's typically high-energy stuff. I was wondering if there's anything you do differently for a lower-energy kind of character, like an Eeyore or a Wednesday Addams, something like more droney.
Got you. Yes. Okay. So this goes right back to auditioning, right? Many of us audition to book the job instead of doing the audition justice. There has to be a reason that character is moving either slowly or their thought process is slower or that they portray themselves in a very relaxed manner. If we go back to that way, if we break the character down, like with Wednesday is very calculating. She's basically the female version of Sherlock Holmes. She sees everything. She's like Batman. She sees everything and then chooses her response based on who she's talking to, how much she cares, and what she wants to say. Eeyore is slower because he doesn't process things slow. He doesn't care. He'll just tell you using the words, you're not going to care because no one cares to be around me because I'm mopey, but this is how I feel, man. You really want to know? And before he finishes a sentence as a kid watching that, you go, oh my God, he talks so slow. Speed it up. But that's built into that character, right? That's built into that character. So if we go back and give ourselves a reason, here's the fun part. You're never wrong. You're never wrong. It's your interpretation on why you think that character is moving, talking, or portraying themselves in that manner. We can critically think and start to get deeper the more we think about why. So, it's all on us individually. There's no one right way or, there's billions upon trillions of ways to go about that.
Yeah. Got time for a couple more here.
Okay.
Beatrice Ryan asks, and she's watching on YouTube. Great, Beatrice. Is improv acting part of your background or in your current toolkit? I would hope so.
Yes. I would say personally, improv I think is the basis foundation for all acting, because there's going to be times when even if all the words, even if the ad-libs and the improvs are there in the script, there's going to be times when you're a human, you're going to reiterate or interpret something a little different than someone else is. And to be honest, it makes you less terrified and have less anxiety when you know, well, if I forget the line, I will be anxious, but I know I can improv something similar to what I'm supposed to say. And many times, or at least 50% of the time, it may be better than what's written. And you may have to go back and do the written line, but Improv, improv, improv. And it doesn't have to be silly improv. It doesn't, I know when people hear improv, they think, oh God, I gotta pretend to juggle chainsaws or this and that. It can be lyrical improv. Go on YouTube and put on chill hop, lo-fi music, and start freestyling. This means lyrical improv. Try to make anything you say rhyme and just try to freestyle. It will open up your mind. It is very challenging and difficult to do, but it's so fun. And believe it or not, you'll start freestyling and rhyming much faster than you think. If you can do that, that's 10 times harder than improving in front of people, in the booth, you name it.
All right, one more question from Greg Cooper. George?
Greg Cooper.
Did you train at the same time for all these genres, or do you focus on one area and really try to master it and then move on to the next genre? Are you good at focusing?
That's good. I am. I'm very good at focusing when it's something that has to do when I know that everyone else has an initiative involved in it. I would say start with your background. With me, that's why I had a chip on my shoulder for mocap, was I thought I'm a movement person, right? This will be easy. Mocap's all about movement. I'll just go in, I'll learn the terminology, and I'll just do the moves, and I'll take off, and, thanks, and I'll just start my career into stardom.
You're going to sail.
Yeah, I'll just sail, right? Hit autopilot and just hang out, open a Coke and chill. But start with your background and really do think. You might have to ask family members, friends, colleagues, and they may tell you something you forgot. Yeah, I remember you took tap dance for, 6 months when you were 7. Oh, yeah, I have very good hand, foot, or I'm pretty good with breaking down movements with my feet or my entire body because of that. That makes its way into everything you want to do. So start with the foundation of you. Take a piece of paper and write down all the things that you can do at a 5 out of a 10 scale, 0 to 10. That's a 5 or higher. You will be surprised on how many things you do at a 7 to 10 on that scale that can make their way into all of your acting. In my experience, most people have at least 30% of reserves in anything they do. When they do their best take, if they really stop and critically think about a couple of things and do one more take after that and really push, they usually have the best take of their life they've ever done, because we're usually really timid and we don't want to push more. With me, I try to get things to where I feel proficient with them. Say, okay, I know nothing about firearms, so I take some classes on that. I feel like I can load, rack, and disassemble this firearm good enough with my eyes closed or open to where I feel proficient if I were to perform this in front of someone else. And I try not to master things because they're always changing, I mastered my Apollo audio interface, and 4 months a new one came out. I was like, damn, I don't know how to use this one.
Firmware update.
That's my number one tagline. That for myself, if I can do it in front of people and well to where no one goes, then I know that it's time to move on. I'll go, okay, cool. I feel solid about this. Let me learn this part. And so I try not to master things on purpose because they always change.
Yeah. And that's the way it's done. Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
being
for
with us
having me.
tonight.
Man.
Thank you for having me.
All right. George and I will be right back to wrap things up and rack it up for Tech Talk. So stay tuned. We'll be right back on VoiceOver Body Shop.
You're still watching VOBS?
In these modern times, every business needs a website. When you need a website for your voice acting business, there's only one place to go. Like the name says, voiceactorwebsites.com. Their experience in this niche webmaster market gives them the ability to quickly and easily get you from concept to live online in a much shorter time. When you contact voiceactorwebsites.com, their team of experts and designers really get to know you and what your needs are. They work with you to highlight what you do. Then they create an easily navigable website for your potential clients to get the big picture of who you are and how your voice is the one for them. Plus, VoiceActorWebsites.com has other great resources, like their practice script library and other resources to help your voiceover career flourish. Don't try it yourself. Go with the pros. VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your VO website shouldn't be a pain in the you-know-what.
Your dynamic voiceover career requires extra resources to keep moving ahead. There's one place where you can explore everything the voiceover industry has to offer. That place is VoiceOverExtra.com. Whether you're just exploring a voiceover career or a seasoned veteran ready to reach that next professional level, stay in touch with market trends, coaching, products, and services while avoiding scams and other pitfalls. VoiceOver Extra has hundreds of articles, free resources, and training that will save you time and help you succeed. Learn from the most respected talents, coaches, and industry insiders when you join the online sessions, bringing you the most current information on topics like audiobooks, auditioning, home studio setup and equipment, marketing, performance techniques, and much more. It's time to hit your one-stop daily resource for voiceover success. Sign up for a free subscription to newsletters and reports. It's all here at voiceoverextra.com. That's voiceoverextra.com.
Yeah, hi, this is Carlos Alazraki, the voice of Rocco, and you're watching Voiceover Body Shop.
In a little bit.
Hey, we are back.
We are back because this is what we do. Jason Linere White. What fabulous talent and great at explaining things, too.
No, super. I mean, that was like a mini masterclass.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Next week on this very show, we will have Tech Talk number 96. They just keep adding up. And it's going to be interesting. We've got a lot of cool stuff to talk about tonight.
I always find
all
stuff.
next week. Yeah. Let's see. You've got... let's see what's going on here. We've got you've got Tech Talk now on TikTok.
Tech Talk on TikTok
with quick, less than 1.5 minute tech tips.
Yeah,
tell us about it.
I'm trying to keep them going once a week. I can't even keep that many happening. My kid's way better at keeping it consistent. Not me, but I promise you, if you do follow me on TikTok, I'm not going to flood your channel with just day in the life posts. I have no problem with all you voice actors that do this, but there's a million people that just tell you about literally their day and what they do, and it's a little boring.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, I'm on TikTok, and we got webinars ongoingly, constantly over at georgethetech.com/webinars, and you can put in VOBS Fan 10, VOBS Fan 10 for 10% off. All that stuff.
Great. Here's our donors of the week. We have a new one, the Bristol Group.
Bristol.
Yes.
Nice. And we got Grace Newton,
Robert Leadham,
Stephen Chandler,
Casey Clack,
Jonathan Grant,
Tom Pinto,
Greg Thomas,
A Doctor Voice,
Antland Productions,
Martha Kahn,
949 Designs,
Christopher Epperson,
Sarah Borges,
Philip Sapir,
Brian Page,
Patty Gibbons,
Rob Ryder,
Shauna Pennington Baird,
Don Griffith,
Trey Mosley,
Diana Birdsall,
and Sandra Manwiller. Hey, join our mailing list too. Maybe some of you saw the mailing that got sent out this afternoon. Oh, yeah, I can watch Voiceover Body Shop live tonight and ask my questions. So we try and get that out so you know what's going on. We also need to thank our sponsors, Harlan Hogan's Voiceover Essentials,
VoiceOver Extra,
Source Elements,
VOHeroes.com,
VoiceActor.com. Not VoiceActorWebsites.com is still there, but now there's VoiceActor.com, which we'll get a chance to talk about. Great new thing.
Yeah, and world-voices.org.
The Industry Association of Freelance Voice Talent.
There's the president.
Yes, I just happen to be in charge there. But anyway, thanks to Jeff Holman, who's with us tonight, and for getting all the questions in there, and Sue Merlino, who's somewhere else, but she's directing.
Thank you, Sue.
Good job, Sue. Appreciate it. All right. That's going to do it for us tonight. We're going to re-rack it for Tech Talk. If you've got tech questions, now would be a good time to throw them in the chat room because we do it live. And then all next week you get to watch all the amazing stuff that we get to talk about right after this. Anyway, this is not an easy business. That's why we bring you great people like Jason Linere White who can tell you all the things that you need to know to make it better. But when it comes to your sound, if it sounds good,
it is good.
I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is Voiceover
Body Shop.
Or VOBS.
Yes.
See you next time.
Later.
Remotely back in the pandemic, but
nice to come in, right? It's fun to come inside. Huh?
It is. It's really nice.
Oh, okay. But want one?
Oh no!
Change chairs so I get my next chair. Caught on anything?
Elijah, you want? Or Minnie, you want? Oh, they're pretty good. They're not. If you don't like dark chocolate, they don't taste too dark chocolate. Dan, George, you guys want some?
Maybe about that.
You need help, man?
No, I got it.
I can help you. Okay.
All right.
Take a few.
Well,
Let's
we
put the
take-
trash.
Yeah, zoom it in a little
Give me
bit.
your trash. You guys, thanks for letting us come in. Okay.
Perfect. Where did I put my iPad?
Did you say we have like 5 minutes, maybe?
No more like 2.
Two. Okay. Never mind.
We run right into the next thing.
Yeah.
Don't.
All right. Back a little bit. Get this one in the right spot. Maybe extend it out just a little bit so I'm more directly in front of it.
I love how that. Oh,
Yeah, you can go
you
out.
can be out the whole
They're
time.
standing here, nope, because they're getting used to this in case they're on set for 3 or 4 or 5 hours, and they knew that. Sorry. So you too, because you're going to be on camera a little while too. So stay inside. Just get you used to being on set where it's boring until they're ready for you, right? Which camera is
It's
that?
good
That's probably-
training.
Oh, it's that camera. Oh, it moves. That's dope.
Yeah, we have a camera that moves now.
That is so cool.
I call it the chicken head.
See?
Because it looks like a little chicken head.
Yeah, it's like a little chicken head.
That's cool. Say how you guys look. This is before you guys became big stars.
All right, cool.
Watch how quick it moves. Phew,
I don't know.
phew, phew,
It is
Phew.
fast. What?
phew,
Man, what is that, George? What brand is
phew.
It's a camera he said we have to have.
it? Hell yeah, it's amazing. Look.
And now
It's,
now I understand why.
It's an Insta 360 Link, LANK.
200-300.
About $300.
That's not bad.
For what it is, it's amazing.
Heck yeah. Are you moving it with the mouse?
I'm positioning it and then just making presets.
It's that fast. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
All right, Sue. Finally, I think we're ready.
Okay, Eric, you ready to sit down?
All right, hands up. We
Well,
got Sue.
hold on. Let me just. Well,
Oh,
let's see.
oh. What are we
I
waiting?
need to zip this one over a little bit more and then zoom in with this one.
Oh, I forgot. You just want to bring it closer?
How did the
Got
kids do?
shocked
Pretty
again.
quiet again? Were the kids pretty quiet?
I mean, you could hear little bits of noise, but it's not distracting because we have the mic so close that we don't really notice it.
Okay, good. Just to make sure I'm keeping them under control.
Yeah, I don't want them to feel like
They're,
they're.
they're pretty good.
Yeah. The younger they are, the tougher it is.
Hmm?
I said the younger they are, the tougher it
Well,
is.
his son was
You know.
pretty good too, man. He wasn't bad. They were
Yeah,
just
he
playing
did
footsies,
fine.
That's all. He was great.
Yeah.
He has very nice kids, man. I've met him.
Okay. Back to how did you get full screen on here?
There's a full screen bottom right of that window. The video window. There's a full screen button. Nah, it's like in the video window itself.
You know
It's a little square.
Oh, that guy. Boink.
There you go.
See, that works.
We still are waiting for Jeff. He had to step to the restroom, Sue. Sorry. But I think we're.
I'm good for now.
The shot's a little.
All right. Okay, we're racking it up for Tech Talk, waiting for one other participant to get in here. And but if you've got a question about your home voiceover studio, throw it in the chat room because that's where we get your questions from. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Probably too much, so keep it quick.
Yeah, hopefully there's good questions tonight.
Well, there'll be good questions. I think we already have two.
A couple
so-
coming in already.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, 3 maybe.
All right, we will officially start at 6:10, Sue. That way we'll do it. Okay. Yeah, because I want to leave enough time to talk about what we were talking about the other night with the changing marketplace and you know the fact that how we've seen things change over time.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I sent you that article on podcasting.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what the total gist of it was. Was it that the marketplace has shrunk dramatically?
Well, it's that
for new podcasts?
podcasting was like CB radios.
Yeah.
It was very popular, and then
hugely hot.
right, and then
had a-
all the manufacturers started making stuff for that, not for
Yes.
voiceover.
Yeah, it's true.
So it was.
We're planning on changing that.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
That's what the survey I'm going to mention tonight is all about.
All right. So now I got the microphone here, and now you can probably hear me clear as
Yeah,
a
that
bell.
mic is fantastic.
Yeah, well, it is an MV5.
Excellent.
Are you guys still on live too?
Well, we're live, but we're
live
just
and,
we're just waiting for 2 minutes.
Waiting
get
for
Jeff
everybody to
back in
settle
here.
so we can start.
And then I will note the time because we go for an hour.
Where is Elijah using the restroom?
Yes, her and Nikki went.
Okay.
Close the door. Want me to close the door for you? Or?
Well, as long as they know they can come back in, I
Yeah.
can text them and just
We
tell.
still got 2 minutes. The 2 minutes.
Let's see. Sneak in quietly when you return. Don't knock. Even though it says knock. All right.
All right. My levels are good from this spot.
Yeah,
Good.
excellent. Yeah.
All right, good. 'Cause-
No, it sounds great. The Behringer, it sounds fantastic. It really
Excellent.
does.
Well, it was just gathering dust over there. I think
Yeah.
it's much. And this,
Yeah, thanks, man. Just a tiny bit. Thanks.
Yeah.
Wide.
Wait, I'm just going over because
That's great. That's great. Thanks,
this
man. Yeah.
all right, 1 minute. I mean, you could actually set that to go to a single shot of either of us,
I could.
which is
I could. but I
where
don't
now
need-
we see the total value of this
I
thing.
don't need that shot anymore,
super fast, man.
so I could make that.
Seems a
into
little out of
singles.
focus.
The last time we were here, Chris had fallen asleep during the show.
It's not focus. It's just bandwidth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just the network bandwidth or something.
Does it autofocus on its own too?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. That looks better. Okay. Cool. Make that
But I can't
position.
remember. I don't remember which position that was. Was that 3?
Yeah.
Update. 1.
This isn't the
3.
original camera I used to.
Oh no, this is fairly new.
Does it follow you too if you wanted it to?
It can, yeah.
It can. It
You know,
tries.
I turned off the tracking because it can be very annoying. You'll go like this or something, and suddenly it's like, I'm going into whiteboard mode. I'm like, no, don't do
Is it
that.
pretty accurate though, Dan?
Oh, it has hand
When it follows
gestures.
you?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, does it?
The hand
Don't
gestures
activate them. Okay.
together.
All right, it's 10:10. Let's 6:10. Let's go.
Alrighty.
All right, you ready, Sue? All right, she's counting us in. 5,
5,
4. Hey, it's time for voiceover body shop tech talk. Tech talk.
Tech Talk.
Tech talk. And it's number 96. Tech talk number 96. Can you believe that number? Put it back up there, Sue. 96. Look at that. Been doing this for so many years, and there's still tons of stuff to talk about.
You know the thing about tech, it never stops moving.
It doesn't. We're actually going to talk about that in a little bit as well. But you got lots of stuff to cover here in your tech update. We're going to talk about how the marketplace has changed and how you can adapt to now and all sorts of cool stuff about equipment. So stay tuned. Ask your questions live on Facebook if you happen to be watching live. And if you are not watching live, well, remember, you can always write your questions in for next time. Anyway, it's time for VoiceOver Body Shop Tech Talk right now. Tech Talk. Brought to you by VoiceOverEssentials.com, the home of Harlan Hogan's signature products. Source Elements, the makers of Source Connect. VoiceOver Heroes, become a hero to your clients with award-winning voiceover training. VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your voice actor website doesn't have to be a pain in the butt. VoiceOver Extra, your daily resource for voiceover success. And World Voices, the industry association of freelance voice talent. And now, here's your hosts, Dan and George. Well, hello there. I'm Dan Leonard,
And I'm George Whittam.
and this is VoiceOver,
Body Shop.
or VOBS, Tech Talk.
Tech
Tech Talk.
Tech Talk. Tech Talk.
Yes, we're talking tech here on VoiceOver Body Shop. And, you know, it's amazing how technology has changed. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But the thing is, you've got to be able to keep up to date with it. And if you don't really understand all the things that go on in your home voiceover studio, because that's what's allowing us to do all the things that we do in voiceover today, you got to talk to people who actually know what they're doing. And I spend a lot of time online and look at the questions that people ask on Facebook and LinkedIn and stuff. And people chime in, well, I use this. Well, I use that. And the fact of the matter is, and you've heard me say this 100 times before, or at least 96 times before, since this is Tech Talk number 96, everybody is an expert in one studio and one voice, except for maybe a handful of people out there in the voiceover world that actually know what we're talking about. Because we're talking about very specific places, which is your home voiceover studio. And a home voiceover studio is a unique environment because every voice is different, every room is different, everything's different. So you need somebody who can understand the basics and how to transform your space into a proper recording space.
That's right. Every time you ask those questions on those groups, you're basically taking a survey.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to interpret that survey information, you're going to be really confused about what to do with that information.
Right. And as you,
so many different answers you're going to get.
Right. And as you like to say, don't crowdsource your home voiceover studio.
It can be, it would really, when you work with us, it's a shortcut.
Yeah.
It's really what it is, because we have worked with so many others and we've seen what works and what doesn't work. We've bounced things off of each other. We've bounced things off of our colleagues. We've taken copious notes. Believe me, it's an investment up front, but the time you save, the direct information you get, absolutely really is worth it.
Yeah. So if you want to talk with one of us and work with one of us and look at all the services that we offer to help you have a really good home voiceover studio, if they want to talk to George, who's got a major company that is growing, how do they get a hold of you?
Yes. Well, you can still reach us at georgethe.tech. Soon to be also georgethe.tech, but a whole new version. We don't have a release date quite yet, but we are so close.
2.0.1.
We are so close. I'm
Yeah.
telling you. But the new site's coming soon. But we have myself, of course, available, but many others on our team now available to take your support requests for your specific things. We have specialists now. You know, and you don't need a doctor referral. You can go right to the specialist. And so it's a really cool thing. So it's all over at georgethe.tech. Stay tuned for that new site, but we're available to take your bookings, and we have the 911 emergency support hotline too.
Wow.
Which has saved a lot of people's
bacon
gigs. So, but anyway, Dan, you're doing stuff over on the web at
homevoiceoverstudio.com. Yeah, go on over there. My site is set up to make things really simple for you. One of the things I offer, of course, and apparently my cup runneth over this week, is my specimen collection cup. You can send me a raw file. People are saying, look at all the processing I use. Is this right? No. Try not to process your stuff. I want to see it raw. I want to see what your studio sounds like without you doing anything to it, because you're really not supposed to be doing anything to it. We're going to get your studio sounding right physically. But you go to there, click on the specimen collection cup and send me a specimen for $25. I will show you, what's working in your studio and what's not. And if we need to do a little bit more further consultation, we can discuss that. But I teach this stuff. I've been doing webinars. We've got conferences coming up, and I love teaching at conferences. So stay tuned for announcements and all that stuff. That's really important. So you can get a hold of me. Yeah, get a hold of me over at homevoiceoverstudio.com, and let's talk home voiceover studio. So you got a lot of pile of stuff here in your update of the week. Go for it.
Sure do.
You have the floor, sir.
Some of it's more pile than others. But anyway, quickly, there is now multi-channel audio input control in Zoom. And so that really makes Zoom different from every other conferencing app I'm aware of, because now you can choose which channel feeds into Zoom.
Oh.
So normally Zoom feeds all channels into Zoom, right? That can be a good thing. That can be a bad thing, depending on your interface. But everybody on Apollos and RMEs and some of the more complicated interfaces that have multiple ins, multiple outs, this is big time for you, because you can now finally tell Zoom, no, I want you to hear only my mic. I don't want you to hear what's coming back from Zoom. I don't want you to hear what's coming in on the mic in the other room.
Right.
Just this one mic, and you can finally do that. Or you can say, I want to hear this mic, and I do want to hear what plays back in Twisted Wave. So you can. There's more things you can do with this new version. It's definitely a beta. It's got some little quirks, like it doesn't remember the setting each time you start the app, so you have to always remember to go back in and reset it. A little annoying, but really glad to hear that. And I have to say, I don't know who to completely attribute this to, but I do know for a fact that Tim Friedlander did talk to Zoom about something 2 years ago and said, please do something about this. And I don't know the journey that took from their meeting to now, but finally the feature's in there.
They were very busy for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I was really glad that they paid attention, though. I mean, they eventually did it. So that's cool, interesting update, and really it does not affect anybody with standard 2-channel interfaces. If you're on, a Scarlett or anything that just has 2 in, 2 out, not an issue for you guys, really. Next thing, actually, that's not entirely true. So, if you've got 2 mics in your booth, let's say you're only using the 416, but you have a TLM 103 and it's sitting right over here. If you're talking into the TLM 103 or the 416 over here, Zoom is still hearing the 103 over here. So even though you might be sending what sounds to you like good audio, and maybe they're hearing good audio, if both mics are on and both mics are gained up on your Scarlett, Zoom is still going to hear both mics all the time. So it won't sound quite as good. It'll sound phasey and weird. So now it could be helpful for you guys as well. Okay, moving on. This is something we just heard about. Firewire support is no longer in Ventura. So if you've got, some folks still are hanging on to an older Mackie Onyx Firewire mixer that didn't burn out or catch fire or just fade, who knows what by now. That feature is dead. Now, Byron Wagner, good old Byron, posted an unbelievably kind of
that's the way he
weird
usually
backdoor
explains
thing
things
to try to fix this, and I trust that it may be able to work, but it's a hack, and so basically no more actual Firewire in Ventura. So Thunderbolt includes the Firewire spec, and it has for many years now. But that spec is gone. They just said, well, we don't need it anymore. Firewire's long dead.
So I can take all of the Firewire cables that are piled up in the closet here and use them for a clothesline.
Oh, yeah, clothesline, weave something.
Right.
I used to have a bin in my car that says Firewire, and now it says Thunderbolt. I took all the Firewire out. Anyway, that's just a little funky update. Again, that doesn't affect many of you, but it's a very small percentage may run into this problem. Universal Audio Sphere LX microphone. They now are selling this super amazing multi-pattern microphone that can emulate all the classic microphones very faithfully. They're now selling it under the Universal Audio brand. It's no longer the Townsend Labs Sphere. And they have their entry-level one, still $1,000, but they have a less expensive one that it was absolutely all that you would need. You don't need the $1,500 mic, and so the price point for getting into these kind of modeling mics that pretend to be other microphones is getting more affordable. That said, you still really want to have an Apollo to really get everything out of this in the most seamless way possible, but you don't need the Apollo. You can record the audio and add all that effects later. So if you want to record into your Townsend and then later apply a U87 to it, well, you can do that.
If you feel the need to do that.
If you feel need, honestly, the mic itself, the Sphere mic itself, when you turn off all models, sounds fantastic. It's just if you're trying to get that, if someone's like, I insist that you're on a U87 sound, well, it does it pretty faithfully.
Yeah, and you know what I think about all that. If it
it's
sounds good, it is good.
If you're trying to meet a client request, this is a way to
do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I says it's one mic with many faces, and it could be a good gas problem solver.
Gear acquisition syndrome.
Yeah, if you can prevent you from buying a lot of microphones. Or on the converse, you could buy this mic, try out like 7 or 8 or 12 mics, find one that was a surprise, and then eventually save up the money and buy the real thing. It could go the other way. Anyway, I did a little survey. Meaning the crew over at my other apartment, the Pro Audio Suite. we started talking about what would be the ultimate audio interface, and we decided to do a little survey about it.
Okay.
I'm going to figure out a way to share it with you guys in a way that you can see it or find it. Maybe I'll probably put it on the Facebook page, because it's obviously a forum link and it's hard to convey over the show. But it's essentially a form asking you, what do you think is the ultimate audio interface? What features does it need to have? Are you happy with the one that you have, et cetera, et cetera? Doing a little bit of market research.
Okay.
So we're going to see what comes out of that. Stay tuned, pay attention to the Facebook group, and we'll make sure that you guys find that link. Moving on, surprise from SSL. I just stumbled on this today. SSL now has a conferencing microphone. Now I know that doesn't really matter, but it's just weird that if you knew the lineage of SSL, I think of a giant console that would fill this entire room. Right? That cost $300,000.
Yeah.
This is a little USB mic that's a square like this for $150 that plugs in with USB. So it is the antithesis of this. Yet they sell one now, and it's supposed to be pretty amazing because it has 4 mics and it auto mixes, so whoever's in front of the mic that's speaking, it turns the other ones down.
Oh.
So it's auto leveling. So if you're having like a conversation across the table,
Right.
it's not hearing the room echoing because it turns the other mics down. So it's not that problem with the usual conferencing mic where it's picking up the room ambience.
Right.
And it's really echoey sounding.
So it's not like an omni pattern. It's
Right.
It's all individual things.
Or like cardioid, so it's picking up here.
Wow.
And then it does all that automatically. I also found it interesting that it also multi-tracks. So I guess if you're doing a podcast with this thing, and I can't vouch for the quality of it yet, but you can stick it on a table, like a card table around, and sit literally the 4 of you around this single mic. And it will not only live mix it for you, but it'll also 4-track record it for you so you can mix it later. $150? Pretty nifty little gadget if anybody's jonesing to spend more money and is wanting to do a lot of that kind of recording. It would really be simpler than rigging up 4 condenser mics. Way easier.
Okay. Time for you to do some stand-up here.
Joke time. This is the dumbest joke, but it's right up my alley.
Okay.
Anyway, the sound from a musician on stage bounces off the auditorium walls to surround the audience. The voice reverberates, right? The sound from a pigeon on stage does not do this. Do you know why? The
Why
reason
is that?
is acoustics.
Oh, acoustics.
Okay. This is really stupid. It's awful. Get it? A coup. Like the coup. It sticks. It doesn't bounce around. Okay, I'll be here all week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my joke. That's really it. It looked like a lot of stuff to
But
cover.
you cruise through it in a
Trying to
hurry.
cruise through because we want to talk a little bit, Dan especially wants to talk about the changing market and technology. Tell us where you're coming from.
Well, earlier this week I've been doing a lot of listening to a lot of different people's files and saying, well, this is good, or your acoustics aren't right, or there's a hum in there. All the things that I do whenever I am talking about, making sure that your audio is right. And then I started to think, we've been doing this show now for 12 years, and we've cumulatively doing voiceover technology and home studio technology for probably 30 years combined, if not more. And it occurred to me that in the 15 years since we've been doing this particular show, how much technology has changed for... You're going somewhere.
Yeah, I'm going to plug in our main laptop.
Oh, okay.
It's going to die.
Oh, okay. Well, you can do that. You can probably use the plug from mine, the black one there. Never mind us while we're doing this sort of thing. But I was kind of thinking about how it is that what voiceover technology was like 10, 15 years ago and how much it has changed in the... Yeah, you can pull that one out right there and plug it in from there. See?
Well, it only has 2 ports.
That's okay. This one has enough power. Oh, no, it's actually got a low battery. Oh, okay.
That's the surprise.
Oh, make sure that it's on over there.
I don't think it's plugged in where it's plugged in.
It is plugged in.
Make sure the switch is on.
It
It is off.
Uh-huh.
Now plug it in.
Somewhere.
Never mind us while we're doing this. If it goes boop.
I don't know if it booped.
It did not boop. It is not charging.
Not charging.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to fix this.
I can't plug that one because that's the camera. This is the Ethernet, which is working.
See, they only give you 2 plugs on these Macs, which is a bit of a problem, but
Okay, if I unplug that, it's going to knock the camera off. We're not going to make it through the show on a low battery.
okay, hold on a second. I can fix this.
Are we in the way any?
No,
I
no.
just noticed the low battery light come on that computer and it's not charging.
Interesting.
This is off?
It should be.
I don't know if this is on.
It should be to the. If you turn on one of the radios, then it means it's off. You know, if it,
Unless that went out, huh? Unless your surge protectors are on.
no, turn the radio on. Just turn the dial on that. Yeah, lights on. Okay, so that particular bar is working. Ow.
If you need more of those, Dan, I got extra home. I can bring some for you next time.
Okay.
Power strips?
Yeah.
Oh, power strips are us. We got lots of those. If you're wondering what's going on here, we're just having a slight little problem with technology, and it's not charging. So this thing is not working the way it's supposed to.
It's not the power strip, huh?
No, it's not the power strip. It's this thing here.
What about unplugging it and plugging it back in?
Yeah, well, that's always a good thing.
It works sometimes.
It was working before. See, we try to fix these things, and this is what happens.
Okay, so we have power source battery 8%.
All right, well,
I don't know if that'll last. Well, we either let it roll out in the middle of the show or we stop now and fix it.
okay,
We've
we're going to
already
take a
stopped
quick break.
anyway.
Do not go anywhere. We're going to fix this.
We've already stopped anyway. So this camera is fine. We could just switch to this camera full time.
Right.
This one.
Yeah.
And not worry about that camera.
Okay.
That's another option. Do we want to just do that?
We could, or we could try putting it in another outlet. Or
Well, we need a different hub.
It's got to be the
hub.
yeah.
There
dongle.
is, there
This
may
is
be.
Ethernet, so this is a special hub.
Yeah. There's another Ethernet hub in the drawer there.
Should we just go to Wi-Fi and ditch the Ethernet?
Yeah,
Just plug the power in?
yeah. Let's do that.
See, this is stuff that I tune in for. I like watching this stuff.
I know, isn't it fun
It's-
watching us
it's
squirm?
fun. You guys
So
make it
fun
fun,
watching
man.
us squirm.
It's no, I don't see it as that. It's interesting.
But
It's-
here's
it's-
the thing, guys.
You just work out your problems.
We never panic. We've been doing this show for so long. It's like, does it really matter? Okay,
That's
you're
what
in
makes it fun.
okay. Now you can unplug that. I mean, it could not be joined.
You guys are
Let
like
me get
MacGyver.
this.
You figured this stuff out.
You're trying to do all this stuff backwards. That's why. All right. So if we go into, come on. Okay. No, you're trying to go into Conrad. That's why.
Oh, you guys are doing good. Elijah,
No, just VOBS.
All right. And come on. You can do it. Oh, come on now. There we go. All right. Nope. What do you mean it won't join the network? This thing joins the network all the time. Come on. It'll do it. Come on. And bingo. We're on.
We're on? Okay.
We're on.
So I'm going to unplug this.
Okay. Unplug that. Plug that in there. Hopefully Sue is keeping time on all this.
Does it say it's charging now?
It is not. It just took everything offline.
Well, we lost Ethernet, but it
No,
does-
okay, we're back now. Okay. But it's not charging. Why not?
So is this cable the problem?
It was working all along.
Could it be one of the sockets in the surge protector?
No.
And if you guys
Go
need,
back to this one again. This was the original one.
And it was working before.
I switched them.
Okay. Plug that one in. It is not charging.
and at least the work happened now. That's kind of cool. After Jason's interviewing it.
Well, that sucks.
Should I try switching?
Why don't you try switching those 2 ports?
Yeah, man, that's the only thing left we can do.
Oh, that's going to screw up this camera big time. And you guys are just enjoying the heck out of this, aren't you?
Especially our enemies.
Yeah.
What enemies? You guys better not have any enemies.
No, we have no enemies anymore.
Oh, who did you have?
No, it's just not charging.
Maybe it's a computer, maybe.
Yeah. Well, that's all. All right. Well, why don't we try it on this outlet over here?
It's a good idea.
You good?
All right. See, but that's why we record this show. So. Bingo.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Okay, so that thing has got a bad outlet on it.
It
So it's
does.
the pressure tank, okay.
Okay. Now we got to get this camera working again.
So maybe the Belkin was fine all along.
Maybe. Okay.
Knowing that, I can put this back in.
Where is the Brio? There it is right there. And bingo. We are back on. All right.
And we're charging?
And it's charging. Come back, Mr. Whitham. That only took, what, 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
It
You
took
solved it.
eternity.
That's the fun part. You guys
All right. All right. How many minutes was that, Sue? Let's see. This happened at
8
8 minutes. Okay. So we can add 8 minutes to this. All right.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Sue. Okay. By the way, you can ask questions anytime. Just get them in the chat room right now. Okay.
All
So,
right, so we were talking.
we were talking about how technology has changed.
Yeah.
And what we've seen is we've gone from very simple interfaces, FireWire, which you were just talking about, and
It retired.
it retired and now a clothesline.
Yeah.
And every time this happens, everybody's like, oh, now we have to go to something new, and you have to be trained on it. But the thing is every time there's a change in technology, generally, it makes it more user friendly.
That's the idea.
Yeah, and people panic about it. But one of the points was I sent you an article that was talking about podcasting, and podcasting went like this, and then went like that. Now, why do I bring that up? Because we're always talking about how in voiceover, none of the equipment that we use was ever designed for voiceover. It was all designed for recording music and producing music. And we're just borrowing this technology to do what we do and adapting it to our purposes. The thing is that when podcasting came along, and I'm always saying, in boardrooms, they're thinking, should we make a voiceover microphone? Podcasting came along and took off. Everybody's doing a podcast. And as I like to say, just because you can do a podcast doesn't mean everybody should. And apparently people are realizing that because there were a lot of podcasts and now there aren't. There are, but the ones that have big money behind them and have good distribution and things like that. But a lot of the microphone companies and electronic companies started making podcasting equipment, not voiceover equipment.
Yeah.
Which gave us a little bit more versatility. Like I'm using the Procaster, the Rode Procaster, which was designed specifically for podcasting, multi-channels and separating the channels and all that. You took one look at that, and I said, but it's got all these features that would be really, really good for a number of things. One, it's got really good preamps in it. It's really easy to control because it's got sliders on it. It was great for doing webinars because you could change, add a lot of things in there.
But all that comes at a cost.
Well, it wasn't cheap.
Well, it comes at a cost of a learning curve.
Right. Well, you got.
It's got a software control panel.
Right.
It's got layers and layers of menus.
Right.
Right. There's a lot to learn inside that thing, and so that flexibility comes at a cost.
Right.
And that is there's a greater chance of you making mistakes in the clutch because there's more things you have to know to make it work.
Exactly.
Right.
And it didn't take me long to learn it because you and I know the algorithms of how everything works. You throw a DAW in front of me, I'm like, oh, okay, all right, this is supposed to do that, and you work your way through, and you generally can get up and running that very quick.
But it has no gain knobs. Keep that in mind.
Darn.
The knobs are actually push buttons on a screen.
Right.
That's the gain. That's not that intuitive, right? So there's pros and cons to all that tech.
Right. But all this tech has come along, and then the question becomes, well, what should I get to do voiceover? And then I'm usually telling people, well, your audio sounds fine. Why would you want, if it ain't broke, why fix it? As long as something is working, you should probably stick with it, because a lot of this technology, and we're always talking about this as well, is designed to help your workflow as opposed to the quality of your audio. If you're recording at 44.1 or at 48K and not at 96, someone wrote to me the other day, should I do it at 96K? I'm like, well, how big is your hard drive?
Yeah, double the size of the file,
Yeah.
right?
Do you want it that good? It doesn't matter. That's for recording sound effects for a Hollywood
video
movie,
games, yeah.
right? Or nature photographers trying to catch all that. For voiceover, you're this far from the mic. You don't need all that resolution to do that.
Yeah.
Where I was going with this was that you don't necessarily have to upgrade all this technology just because it's there. Everybody's like, I've got to have the newest and latest thing. And you really don't. If you've got something and it's working, unless it becomes obsolete because the software doesn't work with the OS anymore, because Apple's always updating their OS. Windows is like, I think they're constantly in motion.
Updates randomly.
Right. Google is constantly changing things. Google changes one thing and your website is like, my email doesn't work, because they changed one thing and it breaks all this chain of things.
Yes.
But when it comes to voiceover strictly, try and keep it simple. We're always talking about keeping it simple. Unless a piece of equipment is going to change your workflow, it's not going to change the way you read copy. And if you're capturing yourself properly in all the ways that we keep telling you you should, it really shouldn't matter. However, if you happen to have gear acquisition syndrome, and you're a real geek and you want to play with that stuff, like George does, and I do occasionally, I'm not a geek. I'm like, what works and what works properly? And what makes, if I want to be able to hit record and do my thing, in post, you can do all. My thoughts are always in post and getting it right up front, so I don't have to do that much post.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
And so I don't really worry about the technology. It's some of the cheap crap that was out there, say 10 years ago. Like, yeah, you can dump that one because it doesn't work anymore, or because it's FireWire,
or it was noisy,
or the one of the dials starts getting scratchy, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So that's one way to look at it. What are your thoughts on that and how technology has changed? Because you really keep up to date. And actually, I came up with a new term.
What's that?
There's people are always saying, "Well, I'm technically inept," or I can't handle the tech. I'm intimidated by tech,
or I'm Amish,
or something like that. I don't know how many Amish voiceover people there are. Probably not a lot. But the thing is I've now come up with a new term. They are technonauts.
Technonauts. Techno N-O-T.
N-O-T.
Yeah, technonauts.
Technonauts.
Yeah. I'm for one, I am frustrated that the audio industry has not embraced the voiceover business, despite the evidence showing that there's a tremendous amount of people that need this equipment, and need equipment that's suitable for their needs. Again, isn't hopelessly mired in firmware updates, software control panels, layers of menus, on and on and on, which is what we don't want. We just don't want that stuff in the way. And so, I'm frustrated that gear is either, if it's on the analog side, it has way too many features because it's a mixer, right? And it's mixing things.
Right.
We don't need to mix anything. All we need to mix is what we hear in our headphones, right? And then you've got the digital side where you have unbelievable flexibility, complete customization, like the interface we use to mix this show. Unbelievably flexible system. It does unbelievable numbers of things. It has an incredible, look at this user. Let me see if I can bring the user interface up just so you guys can see. This is the user interface of what I'm using right now to mix the show, right? it has an unbelievable amount of layers of functionality, right? On and on and on and on and on. And it's perfect for doing what we're doing,
Yeah,
right?
except that having it doesn't make you sound better. It's knowing how to use it.
Yes, yes. So I could make this thing be a fantastic sounding home studio interface, but it would require paying a guy like me to program it, get it working the way it needs to be, and then I have to tell you, don't touch anything, which is not the way I want to set up a home studio. Even in the analog days, I didn't like to know that I had to, had to worry that if someone would touch that button or that knob, it would break things, or that button might get dusty, and then if they don't press it every year a few times, it will sound scratchy. On and on, it's like, so yeah, it is frustrating. There's a huge hole, I feel like, in the market for an interface system that is just for us, for what we do,
Right.
And I want to see that change.
Yeah. I mean, there are some very simple interfaces.
Of course.
And ones that are really good.
And they were suitable 10 years ago.
Right.
Because nobody had to do playback. Nobody had to interface with Zoom.
Right.
All your job was to literally hit record.
Right.
And edit and then send the file. That was all you had to do.
Right.
But now it's like, well, you're going to be on Source Connect, and then the client's going to be coming in on Zoom. We're going to send you a video as a reference, and we'd like you to be able to share that video with the client because we didn't pay an engineer to do that, so it's your job. And this is the kind of crap that voiceover actors have to deal with, are saddled with, and it needs to be easier for them.
No question about it. But there are units that, if all you're doing is one track, which is what you should only really be doing, unless you're doing all these other things. And generally, if you move into the spot where you're doing all of that kind of stuff, chances are you're making enough money to be able to invest in that better equipment in order to do that kind of stuff. If it existed.
I'm just saying. Check the survey. I mentioned it earlier in the show. I will put it on the website. Fill it out. You tell us what your thing does or doesn't do, what you need it to do. And I just want to know more because I'm curious about what it would take to solve those problems.
Okay.
I won't go into more detail. I cannot.
Okay.
Mum's the word.
Okay. If you've got questions for us, because as you can tell, because of the troubleshooting we do, you can tell that we actually know what we're talking about.
Live on the show.
Yeah, just plug it in and this over here. That'll change things. But if you've got a question about your home voiceover studio, anything has to do with interfaces, microphones, acoustics, because we all know that
pigeons,
pigeons, yes, because the acoustics are very important. Any one of those things, if you've got a question, something that's bugging you, or you've got a problem with your studio, throw it in the chat room, whether you're on Facebook Live or YouTube Live, or you're watching this via, shortwave. Shortwave still on? Yeah, I know several people still doing shortwave, but the internet sort of killed that forever.
DXing.
Yeah, but still fun. But anyway, if you've got a question about any of that stuff with your home voiceover studio, throw it in the chat room right now, and we will get to your question in just a little bit. But we're going to take a break right now, and we'll be right back here on VoiceOver Body Shop, so don't go away.
Hi, this is Bill Farmer, and you are watching VoiceOver Body Shop. It's great.
From VoiceOverEssentials.com, it's the relationship savior, the multicolor LED VO recording sign. Not just a stock on-the-air or recording sign, it's our exclusive voiceover recording sign. This brilliantly lit LED 20-color beacon tells everybody at home, which is currently everybody, hey, I'm auditioning, recording, podcasting, narrating, or broadcasting here, and a few moments of relative quiet would be very much appreciated. What's more, the wafer-thin remote control lets you choose a multitude of options, from color to brightness, flashing to fade in and out. You can even set up your own personal codes. Red means I'm recording. Blue, playing back. Green, it's a wrap. The voiceover recording sign, get not one but two remotes, is about to end. Two remotes makes the sign even more valuable, since your significant others can send you messages as well. Or, of course, you have a backup if the dog decides to bury this cool thing in the backyard. Order yours now for just $69.95 from VoiceOverEssentials.com. And I will just move out of the picture.
Well, it's that time in the show. It's time we talk about, sorry guys, didn't tell you we were doing a spot live in the studio. It's time to talk about Source Elements again. Source Elements, the creators of Source Connect, and my camera is over here. Thanks for the reminder. Source Connect is an incredible audio tool for connecting your studio with other studios around the world, and it's really become very much a standard. There's a lot of reasons for that. They've been around a long time. The tool's been available now for over 15 years. But not just that momentum, it's workflow. It allows the audio from the studio you're in, your home studio in most cases, but it could be another studio that you rent, to do the session, and it links you into their timeline. Your audio goes right into the project directly, right in there, and immediately is allowed to be played back and auditioned and listened to with the other elements of that production, the other parts of the mix. That could be voices from a television show because you're doing promo. It could be just the sounds of nature because you're doing commercials for Claritin, or I don't know what. Whatever the other elements of that commercial are all there, and when they play it back, your voice is in there, and the client gets to hear what that will sound like when it's all finished on the spot, and they love that. And that's what Source Connect can do. So get yourself set up, be ready to use it, learn how to use it, and also make sure your studio is up to snuff. If you're not sure, they will help you find that out. Believe it or not, they are actually able to help evaluate your studio, as well as Dan and I. And you can get set up at source-elements.com. Get that trial going over there and get familiar. Thanks, Source Elements. Let's get back to those questions right after this.
Hey there, I'm David H. Lawrence, the 17th, and with my company VO Heroes and my team of coaches and my community of voiceover talent, we guide voiceover actors along their journey. And you may be watching VOBS here and not nearly as far along as many of the other people who are watching. You may not even have started yet. And we actually specialize in helping you do just that. So if you're watching all the stuff going on here on VOBS and going, I have no idea what they're talking about, I don't know, but I really want to do this, I'd really like to help you. Please go to voheroes.com/start. That's voheroes.com/start. And you can take our Getting Started in Voiceover class, which tells you everything you need to get started as a voice talent. And I'd love to hold your hand along the way and help you with that journey. Again, voheroes.com/start. That's voheroes.com/start.
This is Ariana Ratner, and you're enjoying VoiceOver Body Shop with Dan Leonard and George Whittam. VOBS.TV.
Yes, and we are back because we've got questions to answer here.
We've got questions.
Because people have written in questions, which means they go to the front of the line.
That's right, they sure do.
So if you have a question for us during the week, something comes up and you want to ask us about it, you can write to us at
The
guys. Put it right up there. There it is.
VOBS.TV.
Yeah, and I am constantly on there going, oh, here's an interesting question. And let's go with what was asked. Eve Florin asks, says, do you know when Source Connect will release a version that is notarized? Because of privacy vulnerabilities in older software, my techie husband seems to think it's a risk to install without being notarized. Now, does that mean you got to go get a notary stamp on it or something? Or what does that exactly mean?
It is kind of fascinating. There are a number of things I install for people on a regular basis that require you to tell Apple that, yeah, I know this software isn't officially allowed to run on a Mac. This is the notarized thing. But Apple still allows you to say, acknowledge this fact and open anyway, right? There's this button that says open anyway.
Right.
And it's on the Source Element side, I think it's because that software it's pretty old. It's Source Element, Source Connect Standard. 3.9.20 or whatever it is.
Right.
It's been around a while,
but it works.
But it works, right? And so they've decided to put all their eggs into the new version, all their eggs into the basket of a new version that's been in development for a very long time. But when it comes out, they'll have all those ducks in a row. But for now, they're relying on the fact that Apple does allow users to open an application anyway, even if it's not notarized.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason to not open something that's not notarized would be to install and open something from somebody you have no effing clue who it is.
Yeah,
like
you
if
don't
it's
wanna do
from a
that.
completely random website, somebody said, here's a beta thing I heard, or this thing is free, it's amazing, but you don't know anything about the company and they have no reputation, that's a bad idea. Source Elements has a long-standing reputation. They are trustworthy. If you can't trust who you're installing and you have to do the open anyway thing, then I would be a little bit more concerned, right?
Right.
I get that though, and yeah, every app should do that. It's Apple protecting you, and it's also Apple getting everybody to send them a little bit more money. It's a little bit of both. A little bit of both.
They don't have enough?
No, it's a good question though.
Part 2 to that question,
Yes.
which is more to the point about what we usually talk about.
Yeah.
Not that Source Connect isn't something we talk about. She says, I have a PreSonus Audio Box USB 96, and in order to have my voice reach between -12 and -6, should be, sort of, I have to turn the gain up so much that it raises my noise floor. Any advice for a different preamp?
What mic is it?
Well, that was my immediate question, and I have not heard back from her. I'm like, well,
Okay.
what mic is it?
Yeah.
But that has more to do with the microphone itself than the preamp, because
Typically.
a PreSonus Audio Box 96 got the resolution. It's got a good preamp in it. It should not be a problem.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is, if it's the mic, she doesn't say if it's an Audio-Technica 2020 or something along those lines that is not perhaps the best mic. A lot of them have a lot of self noise, and the more gain you give it, the more noise you're going to have.
Right.
Or, and this is the one that always gets me, because I forget when I'm talking to people, what mic is it? Does it have a pad on it?
Oh yeah.
Does it have a 20 dB pad or a 10 dB pad? People are like, oh, I guess that's something important. It should be on. It cuts the sensitivity of the mic by 10 or 20 dB.
That's right.
And then you got to really crank the interface, and that brings up the noise level.
Yeah.
So whatever mic it is, if it has switches on it, like an AT 2025 has those switches.
Yeah, the 2035 has pads on the bottom.
Right.
And a lot of other mics have a pad switch.
Yeah.
You do not want to use a pad switch for a spoken word voiceover.
Right.
Maybe screaming, but any standard spoken word, you do not want to make the mic less sensitive. So also, I don't know if she could be using a dynamic mic.
That's
typically have much lower output.
I bet she's using an RE20 or an SM7.
And if that's the case, yeah, you probably do have the gain maxed out. And if you have to run the gain wide open, hiss is what's going to result.
Right.
That is almost always going to happen on these very affordable audio interfaces, noisy preamps.
Right. If you happen to go to one of the retail online stores, and we won't mention any names, like Banjo Emporium or the Bitter Well. I just came up with that one. They have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to voiceover.
No.
They're recording engineers and they're musicians, and they have no idea that you're in your closet. And they see people buying SM7s and RE20s and stuff, because that's what people are using for, because we were talking about before.
They see it because it's on podcasts and YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not voiceover. And the SM7 is great if you're Bruce Springsteen and singing real loud into it. And I know he actually uses one.
Mm-hmm.
But for voiceover, you need a studio condenser mic like this one, and have it set up right in the right environment. Because
or a shotgun condenser mic
like that one, both of which I own. So I think that's an important thing that people need to understand, is do not use a dynamic mic. If someone says, oh, you need an SM7 from Shure, tell them goodbye, because they have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Stop using those. Now, I'm sure people, just put a cloud lifter on it, which would make Roger Cloud very happy.
He is already very happy
about this, yeah.
He's fine.
Yeah.
Roger's fine.
Right. So don't worry about it.
They've sold tens of thousands of those things.
Great for ribbon mics, especially if you like ribbon mics. But those are specialty type items. For straight voiceover, get a fine quality studio condenser mic, and that will probably solve your problem.
So as you can see, the less complete your question, the longer the answer, because we don't know so many different variables.
Okay.
Florida Dave.
Yeah. Now I got this email today. Go to that website and see if you can share that. GoTools.com.
All right.
because what he sent us was this fascinating thing where
Go Tools or Go To Tools?
Go To Tools, yeah.
That's
So
what we're looking at.
yeah, Go To Tools has knockoff microphones, and he sent me a picture, and it looked like a Neumann U87.
It's not the right domain. Huh?
Okay, well,
Go2tools.com, or is it something else?
well, something like that.
TOO Tools?
Try that one.
No, it's not.
Well, anyway, the question was, this is tempted to test drive this and see what the actual response curve. They say frequency response curve 1 × 1 reproduce well-known design. Well, one, the fact that it's in bad English gives a clue. These microphones that look like a TLM 103 and a U87, and $103. And I'm like, should I test drive this? And of course, then there's all this, fake reviews on it underneath saying, oh, this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Spelled with a Z.
Yeah.
Go To Tools.
Go To Tools. There you go. All right. Yeah. You cannot buy a good quality studio condenser mic that looks like a U87 or a TLM 103 and think that it's going to do great for you. It's nonsense. They've probably put an Electret condenser microphone in it and said, oh, look, it's a U87. They even have like a blue diamond logo on it. See that?
Yes, they do.
Wait,
that's not just any blue diamond logo.
But it says Go To Tools on it. Okay.
Why do they have a picture of an actual Neumann microphone?
Because the one they sent me does not have that. What? Anyway, the fact of the matter is, unless it's these are like horrendous knockoffs. Don't even think about it. They're going after people saying, oh, they're going to buy. They don't want to spend $1,000. This one cost us $5 to build. And it's and they're charging $100 for it.
Yeah, I'm creeped out that the microphone that's on their website
is an actual Neumann.
Well, it has Neumann badging on it.
Ah, okay, but
that's the part that really bugs me.
Yeah, and well, it should. So Florida Dave, no.
Major red flag there, man. Major red. Well, could you get lucky? Yes, you could get lucky.
We all want to get lucky. But
the thing is, you're not going to get any consistency from mic to mic. It's a complete crapshoot whether yours is any good. And, it's a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
Why bother?
I mean, there was a thing with knockoff 416s a couple of years ago.
There was. Absolutely.
It's a very special mic made by the people at Sennheiser. Yep. And they actually know how to do it.
Yeah.
I should have thrown the right URL in there because the picture was like, what? Just U87. It looked like a TLM 103 and a U87, but not for $107.
Not a fan.
Not going to happen. All right, you get the question from Grace Newton.
All right, Grace. Thanks to you guys and Byron, my noise floor is pristine. But someone told me they're investing in a shotgun mic. I always love the someone.
Someone.
You ever meet that guy?
I know lots of someones.
Because because it reduces ambient noise, and that seemed odd to me. Is there any truth to that?
Is there any truth to that?
To a shotgun mic that it reduces ambient noise. Well, it reduces sensitivity to ambient noise.
Yeah.
So, because a microphone that's a shotgun type mic is more directional.
Right.
And thereby doesn't want to hear more of what's around the microphone. It's more direct. It's more directional, less sensitive to ambient.
But we can demonstrate that because if I go like that in front of a 416 and then I go like this on a 416, you can hear that the axis is very, very narrow.
Yeah, I'll mute your mic for a second.
Okay.
So here's this microphone. So you can hear it picks up all the fingers moving, the details, mouth noise. And then as I go over here, it picks up far, far less mouth noise. It sounds more dull. And so any sound that's like more background hissy noise or white noise or room noise or whatever, the mic's just going to hear a lot less of it.
Right. So, but a 416 is a great mic. Bless you. The 416 is a great mic because it's very versatile and it's designed to pick up a human voice.
It is.
From a distance, so you don't have to really be on top of it.
Yeah, you can. If you have a good room, you can be pretty far away, like I am right now. In fact, you can see I can get pretty far away. I'm what am I, about a foot?
Yeah,
to
it's about a foot and a
12
half,
inches,
yeah.
maybe. And I can still get a present, clear sound, but as I get closer, it gets a little bit more focused, a little bit more rich, and as I get closer, you get a little bit of proximity effect, and it gets more and more kind of it's like a zoom lens, you know, it kind of zooms in the voice.
So, 416, great microphone. Knockoff, not good idea.
Yeah.
All
Dave
right.
G.
Yes. Dave G says, this one's designed for me. Okay. Acoustic fabric, worth the upgrade on my sound panels? Or is this yeah.
Ant
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Sound panels. You can make sound panels real easily. There are companies that make really good sound panels.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is I have seen them made out of fiberglass, like, audio, muting type fiberglass, rock wool. Amazingly, and you see this on YouTube a lot and in some articles, old towels. Old towels.
Oh, yeah. The DIY Perks guy does
Right.
that.
Works great. Now, the moving blankets from Harbor Freight, okay, actually mentioned a place, but they're cheap. They were having a giant liquidation. I was really afraid for the giants. But
especially the liquid giants.
Yeah, but giant liquidation. No, watch out. They were like practically giving them away, like $4 a piece. I'm like,
Did
geez.
it smell like a chemical factory?
They did not. They did not.
Good.
The blue ones do. The black ones are a little better. They make now one that's it's like 8 feet across. It can cover an entire booth with it. It's just amazing. And it's green. So if you're like a green,
trying to get a green screen in your back of your booth, you can do that.
Exactly. Just a little bit of quilting in it. The blankets are great. Duvets are great. But the question is it acoustic fabric? Is it worth the upgrade? Acoustic fabric, if you're talking blankets, great stuff.
I'm still confused what the question means. Acoustic fabric. Like, I'm thinking of that. That's what you wrap your acoustical panel in, right? Isn't that what he's referring to?
I'm not quite sure.
Because acoustic fabric is essentially acoustically translucent. It has no sound of its own.
Right. Sound will pass right through it and into the absorption material.
Exactly. It's like speaker cloth or something.
Right.
It looks nice. It's designed to make your panel look nice or color coordinate with your studio or whatever, but it should have no sound of its own. So I don't know if that's what you're specifically talking about. If you're trying to just upgrade what you already have and make it look pretty, that's great. Get some nice acoustical fabric, and wrap those panels.
Yeah. Now, as people know, I'm into antique radios.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the fabric on something that's 70, 80 years old just deteriorates.
Moth-eaten.
Yeah, exactly. You got to replace it. But they make material for speaker grids for old radios, which is, I guess, acoustic fabric.
Is that what's going on over there?
Well, it's some carpeting or something. I don't know. But it works, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But I will add those in. But they make that type of fabric. So is it worth the upgrade?
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what's on there now. If it's working now,
exactly,
it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, this is from Jeff. That means I get to point the camera at Jeff.
A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Keep going. Yeah. Okay. Down and
bingo.
Go. He's not really there, but
I love it. That looks cool, man. Actually, I like that.
Yeah.
You should get that printed on the shirt.
That's cool.
Yeah. Ask your question.
George, does Source Connect work for audio only or for video as well?
Does Source Connect work for audio only? I had the microphone off. Sorry about that. Okay. Say it again, Jeff.
Does Source Connect work for audio only or for video as well?
Source Connect itself, the actual Source Connect app, is only carrying audio. There's no video signal.
Got it.
It will synchronize video. Like if somebody sends you a video file and you do have to use a more sophisticated application, Twisted Wave won't do this, but you could do this in Reaper or Audition or Pro Tools or Sound Studio One. It has to be a multi-track DAW. Then you can have the video that's on your computer play back in synchronization. It's called RTS, or Remote Transport Sync. So this is used occasionally for ADR, doing ADR remotely. because you need to match the lip flaps, right? So then you're recording along, and the video is playing along, and you're watching and they're like, take it again, take it again, take it again until you nail the take and it matches. That's one of the very few scenarios where I think the video is ever a factor with Source Connect. But generally, very little video is being used in any Source Connect sessions that I've seen anyway. It's rare.
Right on. Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Question from Carlin Tools, watching us on
I love
YouTube.
that guy's name. I don't know why. It's because it's George Carlin. Carlin reminds me of George, and I love George. And it's Tools, which who doesn't love Tools?
Hey, use this drill.
What is not to love about that name, Carlin Tools? Anyway.
Okay. Anyway, he says, I use an Apollo Twin in my studio, which we're no longer really recommending it to people, are we?
Only if you hire me first.
Otherwise, you're totally screwed. Is there a travel version or a similar you recommend for traveling? Why do people buy Apollo Twins, and why do people keep recommending them? It has to do with the stuff it does that isn't really necessary.
Well, it's because people want to have all the extra bells and whistles, like instant gain recall of certain gain parameters. I want my gain to be precisely 43 decibels every time I do an animation session with Nickelodeon. Well, you can save that as a setting, right?
Right.
Or they want to have a compressor that emulates a 1960s Teletronics LA2A. Well, that's
For
something
some
you can
reason,
do.
yeah.
Or they want to be able to play back the audio to Zoom or something and have that all happen automatically. Well, it can do that too. It's flexible, it's routable, and it's also very confusing to use at times because of its deep software. Again, the software side of it's very complex. But the only thing they make that's close to being travel friendly would be the Solo. It's still pretty chunky. It's still a box like this, about this big.
Yeah.
You know, it's not small, but the Solo does plug in with Thunderbolt 3, which is any of the Macs from the last 8 years, maybe, since 2016. And so it plugs in with one cable. So it's kind of portable.
Right.
It's still not, it's not a MicPort Pro.
Right.
In terms of portable.
Right. So, but the thing is if you're on the road, all those presets mean diddly.
Well, yeah, because those are going to be all tuned or set for your home studio, so they may not be relevant to your travel setup. So you have to be aware of that. So yeah, your mileage may vary.
Right.
I've tuned those for people that are traveling. I've even tuned one for one of my clients who works in his Tesla when he's between locations and he has to do a trailer. Talk about rarefied air. This is very few people doing this.
Yeah.
But it happens, and then he loves to be able to do that.
Right. and the thing is there are really good rigs for travel. Like we talk about the Centric's MicPort Pro 2 has a limiter on it, and the 3 and the mixer face. Yep. They're much smaller. They're the size of a cigarette pack, if you remember what those look like.
And no quality compromise.
Oh, none whatsoever. The sound is great. And, we've recommended it to some very high-end people, and they're like, this is fabulous. Yeah. So if you're looking for a good travel rig, if you're looking for an interface that's going to work really well on the road, that's one. Or anything that's small, But if you're looking for an Apollo Twin substitute or something that does all the stuff that the Apollo Twin does because you want to do it on the road, I'd say it's not really a good idea because you can't do the stuff on the road that you can do in your home studio.
It's very hard to get it to match.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to pick up something on the road,
Forget it.
That's tough. I mean,
maybe a word.
Very hard. Yeah.
If they change a word, and I've done it. I did it from a hospital bed once.
Yeah.
With my iPad.
Yeah. I will say this: if you're super in love with the plugins from UAD, they do have Spark now, which is like letting you run UAD plugins on your DAW without the UAD hardware. That is a thing now.
Mm-hmm.
So you could still, if you're really, really in love with the Avalon 737 or the whatever preamp processing thing, you can run those in Spark, UAD Spark, and that lets you run those plugins and even Twisted Wave or whatever, and get the same exact processing without the actual physical hardware. So
Cool.
there is that workaround if the plugins are what you're looking for.
Okay. Now, Dave G has clarification.
We always appreciate.
He says, further explanation to his question. Okay. This question is about the DIY burlap cover for sound panels versus acoustic fabric. All right, the burlap covers. Dave,
Fine.
does it work?
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, are you inviting, your local senators or whatever in there? You want to impress them? Yeah, you might want to do something. But wasn't there the company that had the coffee bags?
Yeah,
The coffee bean bags that on them, you could paint anything you wanted on them.
Yeah.
That was cool.
ATS Acoustics literally can get them panels wrapped in used coffee bags.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing.
So don't worry about
it.
it.
The burlap works perfectly fine.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get this like furniture grade fabric that looks really, really high end, then buy the upgraded fabric from like the Guilford of Maine brand fabric. ATS has a fabric that's more like a micro suede.
Ah, yes.
And that works pretty well too. But yeah, otherwise they're all going to sound, if they're designed correctly, they're all going to sound the same.
Right.
It's just a matter of how they look and the fit and finish.
Right.
Really.
And that's always something interesting is the aesthetics of their home studio. Like,
Yeah, for some people
but
it really matters.
it really matters. But to me, it's like nobody needs to see how the sausage is made. If you're in your closet around all your clothes and stuff, what good is, I want the nice fabric. I mean, yeah, I wanted red seats for my Camry, but, that's something I use every day and other people get in my car.
Right.
And then presses the heck out of them. But
Right. If that's important to you. I mean, you might be on camera a lot more these days, and then it becomes more important to some of you guys. So it's up to you. But
right.
Whether it's a waste of money or not, that's up to you.
Right.
We can't tell you that. That's up to you.
Right. So
did I say that's up to you enough times? I think 4 times.
Because it is up to you. Not you, but
You
up
get the
to
point.
them. Anyway.
All
right.
That's going to wrap it up.
That's
going to
wrap. Yeah, that's and I think that's plenty. Because I think we covered an awful lot of stuff tonight. You're not gonna get this stuff anywhere else. George and I do this all the time. There are people that are like engineers and they're like, you got to use this processing and use all that. It's not your job. Your job is to consult with people who actually know what it is you're doing in your closet or your PVC booth or in your studio bricks or vocal booth to go or whatever.
That's right.
But every room is different. Every voice is different. Every single home voiceover studio has to be tuned to you. And it's not what you have, it's how you use it. And that's what we explained to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to wrap that up. Okay, but it's not totally wrapped up because we got to take a quick commercial break and then we'll be right back to tell people what's coming up right after this.
This is the Latin lover narrator from Jane the Virgin, Anthony Mendez, and you're enjoying Dan and George on The VoiceOver Body Shop.
In these modern times, every business needs a website. When you need a website for your voice acting business, there's only one place to go. Like the name says, voiceactorwebsites.com. Their experience in this niche webmaster market gives them the ability to quickly and easily get you from concept to live online in a much shorter time. When you contact voiceactorwebsites.com, their team of experts and designers really get to know you and what your needs are. They work with you to highlight what you do. Then they create an easily navigable website for your potential clients to get the big picture of who you are and how your voice is the one for them. Plus, VoiceActorWebsites.com has other great resources, like their practice script library and other resources to help your voiceover career flourish. Don't try it yourself. Go with the pros. VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your VO website shouldn't be a pain in the you-know-what.
Your dynamic voiceover career requires extra resources to keep moving ahead. There's one place where you can explore everything the voiceover industry has to offer. That place is VoiceOverExtra.com. Whether you're just exploring a voiceover career or a seasoned veteran ready to reach that next professional level, stay in touch with market trends, coaching, products, and services while avoiding scams and other pitfalls. VoiceOver Extra has hundreds of articles, free resources, and training that will save you time and help you succeed. Learn from the most respected talents, coaches, and industry insiders when you join the online sessions, bringing you the most current information on topics like audiobooks, auditioning, home studio setup and equipment, marketing, performance techniques, and much more. It's time to hit your one-stop daily resource for voiceover success. Sign up for a free subscription to newsletters and reports. It's all here at VoiceOverExtra.com. That's VoiceOverXtra.com.
You're still watching VOBS?
All right.
All right. Boy, man, we just packed this hour with stuff that people even think you could even talk about.
Hour plus.
Absolutely. But we will be back next week with another great guest live on Monday, February 20th.
Excellent.
Who that guest is? A couple of people that were...
We have our lines in the water.
Right. All right. We need to thank all our donors. Great people who are helping us out and making sure that we're able to keep things technically perfect, except for one particular power block. But that's a whole nother story.
A power block anomaly.
That's really. All right. But let's talk about who has given to us this week. The Bristol Group.
All right. Robert Leadham.
Steve Chandler.
Casey Clack.
Jonathan Grant.
Thomas Pinto.
Shelley Avellino. Hey, Shell.
Greg Thomas.
A Dr. Voice.
Antland Productions.
Martha Kahn.
949 Designs.
Christopher Epperson.
Sarah Borges.
Philip Sapir.
Brian Page.
Patty Gibbons.
Rob Ryder.
Shauna Pentington Baird.
Don Griffith.
Trey Mosley.
Diana Birdsall.
And Sandra Manwiller. Can't wait to meet all these
donors.
People. Yeah. I'd like to thank our sponsors, too, like Harlan Hogan's VoiceOver Essentials.
VoiceOver Extra.
Source Elements.
VOHeroes.com.
VoiceActor.com. A new website by the people who brought you VoiceActorWebsites.com. It is a totally templated system. You can go in there for nothing to start with and get your voice actor website up.
We just started playing with it.
10,
my daughter and I.
20
We're
minutes.
going to finish your website.
Because all you need with your website is your name, maybe your picture or a caricature of yourself, your demos, and your contact information, and that's all you need. And this will get you up and running as opposed to waiting 6 months to get a website because you're not putting everything in. VoiceActor.com.
Check it out.
Check it out.
And world-voices.org.
Oh, yeah, the Industry Association of Freelance Voice Talent,
right,
of which I am currently the president and CEO of. So you know it's being run well. Not that it wasn't before. We got WovoCon coming up in May in Orlando. And you got to be a member to go, but you want to go because it's a great conference. Anyway, if you need help with your home voiceover studio, the best place to go is to go to either George at
GeorgeThe.tech and over at
homevoiceoverstudio.com. And that is going to do it for us tonight. We need to thank Jeff Holman for,
thank you, Jeff,
for coming in and doing the job that he does. Sue Merlino, mwah!
Thank you, Sue.
We're not even here tonight, but
virtually
did a great job.
Our audience.
Yeah, thanks to our audience here. And that's going to do it
you guys
for us.
are awesome.
Right. Well, look, this is not an easy business. There's so much you got to know. You got to be a good actor. You have to know the business. You got to know the technology, or at least you have to have the right technology and using it right because you've been told to do it right. But the bottom line is, if it sounds good.
It is good. I've been telling you guys this week after week.
I'm Dan Leonard.
I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop.
Or VOBS. Tech Talk. Tech Talk. See you next week, everybody. Don't.